Well, well, wake up my voice this morning. My goodness. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. I'm not important, just a question asked out of Atlanta, Georgia. But we got my sister here that is very, very, very important. This is my sister from another mother, but we got the same father. This is Zamari. Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheen. How are you, sweetie?
I am doing good. You like my introduction?
I love your introductions, always.
Good deal. Good deal. We got a lot we're going to talk about today. We have a lot we're going to talk about. And somebody told me, I'm going to use my saying again. Somebody told me that you are hyena, happy, elephant, elated, and porcupine proud to have this conversation.
I don't know how you say that, but yes, I am. And I am so prepared. See, I've got my shirt. I
Yeah.
am ready today.
Oh, my goodness. She is
In a
ready.
world full of princesses, be a Valkyrie. Yes.
There you
Yes.
go. Well, my thing is, I'm not gonna hold you up. I'm not gonna hold you up. Not now, iota, and that's a word, iota. That's a big word. Iota, but I'm good. And one of the things is because of Make sure I got this on here. Good, we do. Florida is one of the places that I know that is actually it's been in the news lately. They're talking about how they are trying to stop the teaching, the education, and everything along with Black history.
Mm,
And it came across. They say they have Chinese history, they have this history, they have that history, they have this history, and they have a list of everything. But they say for whatever reason, they don't have the time, capacity, or what have you, to teach Black history. And I'm trying to understand why is that, or why would anybody want to? The way I look at it, everybody's history is important. You can't um teach this and not teach that. You can't have four children, praise three of them, and well, we'll get to you when we can, to the fourth one. You can't do that. You have to, because everybody have their own experiences, and so throughout each one's experiences, you need to teach. And in teaching each one of their experiences, you could be teaching the other people what not to do, what how to interact, and some of the potholes, if you will, that you don't want to fall into. So I'm asking the question: why would anyone want to not person's history?
mm, I don't know, but there's a lot of that happens. There's a lot of our just American history overall that is lost or not taught, um, for this reason or that reason. It's whether they think it's not relevant anymore, or
Hmm.
because they're trying to hide or cover some ugly truth that they don't want known. All history is important. It doesn't matter what the history is or how ugly the truth of the history is. I
Hmm.
mean, it's for me, it's like when they started tearing down all of the monuments here, okay, because for what reason? Because some of the individuals that the monuments represented, they were southern generals, or they believed in the just the old system, right? I get it. It's offensive, but history is ugly.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
it
not
is.
beautiful, right?
Hmm.
Most of the time
Hmm.
it's not a beautiful thing. So who cares if they held the rebel flag and carried that into battle? That was the time
Yeah.
of the era.
Hmm.
And we
Hmm.
can't become better people, a better society, if we erase history, any history.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
of it needs to be remembered. All of it.
And see, and I feel the exact same way. All of it needs to be taught because it is a part of our history. It is a part of things that happen, and you can't just erase it and pretend as though it did not happen. But you said something. You said that the ugly part of it, and people don't want to see or understand or acknowledge the ugly part of it. But truth of the matter, that is the reality of what it was. That's what
Exactly.
happened. And so to try to erase it and say, well, we're not gonna deal with it. That's that part we're not gonna. No. We can't. We we don't want to teach that part. Well, There are some people that lived that part.
Yes.
There are some people that still have the wounds from that part. So, are you to tell them that, yeah, we know that, you have a big bullet hole in your chest, but we can put a little band-aid on it, and because of the fact that we put this little band-aid on it, it's gonna make it better. You you'll feel better, or have, like I've heard somebody say, have a knife stuck in your back 9 inches, and you say, well, you know what? We like you. We're gonna pull this knife out 3 inches and just leave it in 6 inches. That should be better, right?
No. What?
That
You gotta
should be
take that thing all the way out.
exactly. And not only and not only that, you have to go through the healing process of when you take the knife out. You got to make sure that you go through the healing process and that you're healed from it. Somebody
Yes.
talk
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, right? And we can't heal if we're trying to cover up somebody's history. Like my husband and I, for instance, we're very in, like, we study a lot of Viking culture, all right?
Hmm.
Norse culture, Germanic culture.
Hmm.
We have done a lot of studies. We're in a class that teaches this, all the way back to the runes and just where they were before they were converted to Christians, really.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
we're way back, we're learning all of that stuff. And it blows my mind, right? The more that I learn about that culture, because I am German. My family is German. They came over here. They immigrated to America. So for me, that's part of my history, right? That's rooted in who I am. Is
Hmm.
they started out as pagans and et cetera, et cetera. My husband too. My husband is also, his family is also from that same history.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the more that we're learning about that and the things that they don't teach and the
Yes.
things that they try to cover up and hide, and it's like, and it makes us angry, right? Because
Hmm.
that's part of our family history on both
Yeah.
sides. And it's like, why aren't you teaching this?
Hmm.
Why aren't you telling people this? And over in Norway, for instance, they don't have, and they have their relics, right? Like we have our museums, so they have their museums there, but a lot of their culture has been lost,
Yeah.
and everyone is converted to Christianity now. And now, for the first time in, I can't remember how many thousands of years or whatever, they finally have their first pagan temple up again,
Wow.
recognizing their culture again
Hmm.
and where they came from, because they've been lost for so long from that.
Yep. Yep.
You cannot disconnect someone from their history.
Hmm.
You just
And see,
can't.
I think, and we're going to go to Badger as well, but I think when that happened, or when someone attempts to do that, you cause more harm than good.
You do. And there's a lot of people over there who or I don't want to say I follow, but that, I've read about or heard about or learned about, where they have felt that longing, or where they were lost and they
Yes.
didn't
Yes.
understand why. And so as kids, as teenagers especially, they kind of go through the trials and the turmoils of trying to figure out what's going on and why they felt so lost. And then they rediscover the root of their ancestors, that
Hmm.
paganism, that simple way
Yes.
of life, those traditions, and suddenly they're fulfilled again. That's something that's deeply rooted in who we are. It's down into
Exactly.
our DNA.
Yes.
So you're trying to
Absolutely.
separate that from our DNA. And that, I think, in a lot of cases, that's why so many people are so miserable, because they don't know who they are at the root like that.
And that's a piece or a part of what we talked about yesterday. People don't know who, what we talked about a couple of times,
Yes.
don't know who they are, because you got certain individuals that want to try to erase or steer them in a different direction away from that absolute truth. And
Yeah, and it
my thing
does
is,
not sit well with their spirit and their,
no, no,
the
no.
DNA of their ancestors becomes kind of restless if you really want to go on a spiritual level.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
true. And I'm learning that more and more and more as I study this culture,
Hmm.
especially, right? And so
Uh-huh.
it's just very intriguing to me how tied into spirituality we are,
Yep.
down to our genetics,
Hmm.
and we
Exactly.
don't even know.
Don't even know. I have no idea. Badger, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Badger, we're talking about history. Actually, this is Black History Month, so we're talking about actually Black history and places like Florida. Florida, I'm naming that because I know that's one of them that's actually doing it. The governor has said that they're not going to teach Black history in the schools. They're taking out the books and all these different things. Um, and they had a list. They had a list. I saw several shows. Actually, I looked at CNN and surprisingly enough, Fox and MSNBC, places like that. They was talking about it, how they teaching and they had a list of all the other histories that they're teaching, but they have elected for whatever reason. They say because of the time or whatever, they don't have enough time to add Black history into the curriculum. Why do you think anybody would want to? Because the way I stand, everybody's history is important. It's a piece or part of our whole existence. Everybody's history, and so to erase or try to pull one part of a person's history or one group out of the teachings, I think you're doing a total disservice to everybody. What do you say to that, Badger?
No, that I actually agree with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a part of us. We are
Mm-hmm.
our planet.
Mm-hmm.
It ties into the spirituality of things. We are all part of creation. All part
Mm-hmm.
of Creator. And that's the kicker. They work so hard to keep certain knowledge under a rug or in the dark that even when people hear it, they don't even know what it is anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they grab a. Oh, that you're about to say something. That's
Yeah.
why I paused.
Yeah. Why do? Because what they're doing, specifically in Florida, what they're doing is they're picking a specific group, man, and African American history. They're picking that particular group, and I'm gonna try to pull up the article where they was talking about it, and they were saying that all the histories that they're teaching of all the other people, but they're specifically targeting Black history, African American history. Why do you think that is, Badger? Why? What is it about that part of the history that they just don't want to teach?
Well, they don't want us to get along. What's the biggest fight that we have in this country?
Mm-hmm.
Black versus white, or white versus black, however you want to phrase it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's um that man, that is a uh, that I have seen that divide so many people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting back and I'm looking at the way they word things, and other people have been telling me about things that they've been coming across. And when you sit here and you try to share it with other human beings of what they're doing and how they're wording things and how they're adding illusions and misdirections into everything, man, if you ain't got a strong mind and do a research, it can become infectious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the right term.
Infectious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to.
Specifically, Badger, let's talk specifics today. Why do you think specifically they're targeting this group and not on any other group? Because they're teaching all the other histories. Why not this particular history?
Well, if you think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a group of humans
Mm-hmm.
that were brought from their country under heinous conditions on slave ships and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then put under some pretty nasty human beings. And I know that's putting it nicely. I'm trying to be PG.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Yet their descendants, there are many of them that have learned that even through all of that stuff and all of that struggle, you can still walk a good life. You can still walk a happy life. You don't have to let that control who you are. Um, and they don't like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like to see success across the board.
Mm. Mm.
They
Okay.
want power. And the way you have power is to keep people down and keep people fighting. So if they
Mhm.
target, so you got a whole bunch, a big, huge group of people that are literally under the impression, or they think for some, I can't cuss, hold on,
Mhm.
for some kind of ignorance, to put it nicely, of if this history is taught, you know, white people are gonna, have to deal with all this nasty, bad psychology and da 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 da. And that is the stupidest. Mm,
Mm. Wow. Let me go to Zamari. What do you think it is? Why do you think this particular? Oh, you got to take her something.
Yeah, just give me 2 seconds to go check on her. She's been really stubborn this morning, so I'm so sorry.
It's
So,
okay. It's okay. Let
all
me go
right,
to
just
Tucson. Okay,
okay.
Tucson. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents.
Well, you already at 10 cents. You only need 5 more to go, brother.
I
But you
might
still,
come up with something.
look, but you're still gonna be short, though. You missed what I just did to you, brother. I just,
No, I got it. I promise you, because I figure I start off 85 cents short.
exactly. Tucson, we talking history, Black history today, and why places like Florida, and they have intentionally, for whatever reason, decided that they're not going to teach Black history, where they have a whole everybody else's history. I'm gonna try to pull that article up where they was talking about it too. They say they're teaching this, all the other histories, but intentionally they said, well, because of lack of time or whatever, we're not gonna have Black history in our curriculum. Why is it? Why? Because my thing is this right here. Everybody, I don't care who it is. I don't care whether you look polka dot. Your history, you have a history, and your history is important because it's what happened to you. So why would they try to take a certain history out and not teach that over other histories? What makes one history better than the other? I guess would be a better question.
Well, I guess Badger had a point in control and to change the narrative. You stole the history. You robbed us from our heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Robbed it. Just stole it. And then uh, um, you taught what you wanted to teach,
Mm-hmm.
and along the way, you made people believe, or you wanted people to believe what you wanted them to believe. From the I was talking last night about how they would sing their old song. I'm gonna sing this morning right here.
Oh
Don't
Lord
get mad
Jesus.
at me, man. Don't cut me off either. Don't cut me off.
I got a mute button.
Okay, let me tell my little story.
Go ahead, tell your story, brother.
I'm gonna sing it. You ready?
No, but you're gonna do it anyway.
Ringing in the sheen, ringing in the sheen, we shall come rejoicing. And then they say, we gonna hang on with John after church.
Wow.
That's history. That's what happened. Columbus didn't discover America. America was already here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things that happened that were stolen, things that you appreciate now, combs and hair products and red lights and other things, cotton gin. Got tired of picking that cotton.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody with a brilliant mind that didn't look like them. Why are you going to teach that? Why are you going to teach the real history when some people that are now multimillionaires and billionaires are thriving off of what they stole from other folks.
Mm-hmm.
The children are living on it. Why are you going to teach that? Because you might find that the laws will show that there are some guilty people that need to be incarcerated. Why are you going to teach what really the police department is all about?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you going to teach how the White House got there?
Wow.
You want to teach that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, Raheem, that they want to teach that?
Mm.
How brutal and cruel and evil that you take a person and cut their organs, private parts, and put it in their mouth. Why you really sick the dogs on them and put hoses on them, and they couldn't vote because they were not like you. Why you want to teach that, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Why you want to teach how evil people in government really are?
Mm-hmm.
Him, the one that don't want it taught. Check his background. That's all you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to find out why, check his history. Check that. He
Mm.
might be exposed. I might not be too bright, Raheem, but I know doggone well I ain't stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things that they don't want taught, if they would line it up with laws, they might have to arrest themselves.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
Hmm.
Zamari, talk to me.
Yeah, I was just looking up what had been removed. Some of this I don't understand as far as
Mhm.
what it is. So if you want me to read what I put here, I can. If you want me to leave it
Yes.
alone, I can do that.
No, read it.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what they're removing from the studies, and this is in college, and right now, from what I read, it is being sent out across the states to 60 locations. So it's still in the works. It's still being tested. This is like, they're seeing how it goes, I guess, before they send it out everywhere. But what they've removed, as far as I can tell, is not so much anything historical. So what they have on here is intersectionality and activism, which activism is historical. I guess it depends on how far back you go. I don't know. Like I said, I don't understand all this. Black queer studies, movements for Black lives. So Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Black feminist literary thought. I'm not sure what that is. I really don't know. The reparations movement. Don't know anything about that either. And then Black study and Black struggle in the 21st century.
It's
That's
not
what.
it don't seem very clear as to what it is and what they're trying to do, or what they're what I wonder what is the desire. What, and I don't understand a lot of those. I read them, I see the words that's there, but I don't understand what each and every one of them mean. And so I'll probably have to go into it and study up on it and find out exactly what it is and what does that include.
Right. Yeah. And I mean that, and what they should have, and obviously this is just from, some news station
Mhm.
that posted that. So, but I'm sure if you went to the college website or, whatever board is putting this out, I'm sure I would hope anyway that they would detail it further as to what those sections entail that they're removing. The reparations movement, I mean, we know what that is, right?
Yeah.
It's that's understood.
Mhm.
Black study and Black struggle in the 21st century. That would be really interesting to find out what are they trying to remove from that. And the Black feminist literary thought. See, I'm really curious about a lot of these, right?
Yeah.
But from what I can tell, for the most part, it doesn't seem so much historical as a lot of this might be more new age stuff that they're taking out. And so as long as, in my opinion, as long as they're not removing anything that is at this point in time historical, I think I can be okay with maybe them changing some things, right? It just depends on how they're removing it, I guess.
And see, my thing is, why is it? And I want to go to Badger with this one as well, and Tucson as well. But why these topics surrounded by African Americans, Black people, if you will, and not across the board? If you're going to include everybody, we're not going to teach. This is stuff that we're not going to teach across the board. Black, white, orange, polka dot, lily, whatever it is, we're not going to teach this. That's one thing. But to target a certain group and say we're not going to teach it in regards to how it's dealing with this particular group, to me, that's a whole different ball of wax. I think that's a whole different, and that's what I have an issue with. Now, if they said we're not going to teach anything that's dealing in these categories, we're not going to teach them in any group, we're not going to teach them. That's good. You're including everybody. You're not pointing the finger at that one child.
And I wonder too, okay, because I mean, I don't know a lot about how colleges are or what all the studies are, because colleges have so many different studies that they do, right? And classes and everything. So I can't really say, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not teaching anything on any level. I mean, I don't know what they're teaching. I don't go to college, right? So I don't know. I don't think that they're teaching anything supremacist in any class, or they're not teaching just like white. I don't want to say this because someone's gonna get mad at me for saying this, but I don't think that they're teaching like white supremacy or anything that is leaning towards that, right? But white culture, yes, is taught, but let's be real, right? Like America, for the most part, that's what it was historically for a really long time. That's what it was. So it depends on what it's taking away from Black culture. And if it's going to harm Black culture in the future in some way, I don't think it should be removed. But at the same time, my thing is anything that they're teaching, is it doing more harm than good? And that's across the board for me. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's doing more harm than good to somebody's psyche or their thought process, take it out. Take it out and let them draw their own conclusions, find their own solutions to things, and leave it alone. Because I think schools and colleges are so involved with trying to get in our heads with stuff sometimes. So I don't know. It would just really, I'm really curious to see what these entail besides just the names.
Exactly. I'm pulling up a couple of articles because, like I said, I want to, but when we put something out there, I want to put the whole story out there. So what I'm doing, Badger, what's on your heart while I get this clip ready? We're gonna play the clip. Is not even 3 minutes. But Badger, what's on your heart?
Well, I was also looking into it too, and it's wild that it's not even part of the curriculum. This is something that's just kids can take as an extra thing. And I love how this person described it. Let me see. Trying to figure out how to link it because it's so fitting. The teacher said it in such a view of, and he's right. The younger generation now wants to know why things are the way that they are.
Yeah.
Why are there certain groups here, there? Why ain't they over here? Why is this separation there? And taking a course like this can teach that.
Yeah.
All the way up to even today. And it can help open the mind of, into things like systematic racism and the fact that it exists and how to become aware of it. And some of the things they're wanting to take out or not allow to be taught if the studies class is approved. What they just need to leave it alone. Because if a college student is wanting to take that course, they're doing it for their own reason.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let me play this clip here. Tucson, I hadn't forgot you, brother. I'm going to come to you. Let me play this clip real quickly, and I want to see what it's saying. I have not seen this clip. Don't know what it is, and I hope it's the news. So hopefully, it's nothing cursing or nothing like that. It's PG. But here we go.
Just days after Governor Ron DeSantis banned a course on African American studies, he's now telling why it's bad for schools. And tonight, students and teachers are planning a rally in Tallahassee about what they call repeated attacks on the black community. Local 10's Alex Finney live now with it all for us. Alex.
Well, Calvin, this is really not sitting well with quite a few people when we're talking about this local issue in terms of a state issue that has now really permeated nationwide. And we are hearing from the governor today as many people plan to take their voices to Tallahassee.
Ideology.
Governor Ron DeSantis doubling down on the state's decision to ban AP African American history.
The issue is we have guidelines and standards in Florida. We want education, not indoctrination. If you fall on the side of indoctrination, we're going to decline.
The governor speaking Monday following a wave of criticism over the move as he continuously hints to a, quote, political agenda.
And we want to do history. And that's what our standards for Black history are. It's just cut and dried history. You learn all the basics. You learn about the great figures. And, I view it as American history. I don't view it as separate history.
DeSantis saying some of the coursework advocates for the abolition of prisons, which he called, quote, a radical political position. He also questioned the course on queer theory.
Who would say that an important part of Black history is queer theory? That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids.
The governor emphasizing that Florida does require the teaching of Black history, but this AP course violates state law.
It's dangerous what the governor is doing, far beyond just Florida. It has ripple effect across this country.
Senator Chevron Jones leading a rally in Tallahassee Wednesday, calling the governor's move wrong.
And so now you're once again coming against and saying that this is what you can and cannot say about my history, about the history of my parents, about the history of my grandparents and my ancestors. Yeah, that's just not the way that we should be teaching children.
A lot of really strong opinions on the matter. We know that the State Department of Education, as a matter of fact, they've said that they potentially would revisit a revised coursework here when we're talking about what this means in terms of the ban and the education going forward. But meanwhile, we know that the ACLU and the NAACP, they have been very vocal about this situation. And of course, like I said there, we will be going to Tallahassee to cover that rally for you on Wednesday. But for now, that's the very latest live in Pembroke Park. Alex Finney, Local 10 News.
It is. As a producer that's been producing for many years,
Okay. Zamari, I see you shaking your head over there. What's on your heart, sis?
So he said a key word in his speech when he was talking about this. He said, we're here to teach history, not indoctrination. And indoctrination, and it did sound like they're wanting to teach this, by the way, in our elementary grades and all that. That's because they were showing kids, not college students.
Yeah.
So that is, I do not agree with indoctrination in any form. So if there is a aim with teaching our kids, indoctrinating our kids, and indoctrination is bad. We know this. We know indoctrination is bad.
But
so
let me ask you
go ahead.
Let me ask you this question, and I agree with you. It is bad, very bad. But is African American history the only one?
No.
See,
no,
and that's my point, because he's making it out like African American history is the only one, is the only part of history, is the only part of the teachings that is trying to indoctrinate. and that's not true. So if you're going, if it, like I said earlier, if you're going to do something, if you're going to do something like that, if that is your concern, make it across the board.
Yes, and I agree, but I don't know. I mean, I can't say I know what they're teaching on a basic level, right? And I think that goes along for most of us. We know on a basic level what our kids are learning. But
Mhm.
what they're talking about in a classroom most of the time does not get back to us
Yeah,
until
yeah,
you hear about it on the news, and then suddenly they're reading
Mhm.
books that maybe they shouldn't be reading to our kids,
yeah,
or
yeah.
talking about topics that they don't need to be talking about to our kids. But that
Mhm.
goes back to that indoctrination, right?
Yeah,
They try to do this stuff on the sly, and then it gets out, and then they're like, crap, every
yeah. And
time.
see, and see, I can agree with that, and we don't want to put bad. I'm trying to be careful with my thoughts. We don't want to put bad thoughts or poor negativity into our children at all. We do not want to, but for Florida to target, and this is my whole issue with it, to target this particular group of people. You got all the other studies that you teach every day in the school system.
But like he was saying, right? They're trying to teach, they want the basics taught. And this is going a little bit deeper than just basics, in my
Mhm.
opinion. And
But why just Black history? Is Black history the only one that's doing that? That's my question. Is Black history the only history that's doing that, or that include that part of what he's talking about? And I say not, because you teach history every day. Every day you teach history, and every day there's every group of people have their good as well as their bad.
of
Every
course,
group.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
and so to target one group and say, this is the group that we're not going to teach this because this group is doing this, they're trying to indoctrinate our children, they're trying to do all these different things, and say, just say that this is the stepchild that's doing all these things, and none of your other children are doing it.
So do
I have a
you,
problem with
would you, okay, so what if well, I mean, see, but you'd have a problem with it if they weren't teaching anything, right? The same way that I would have a problem with it if they weren't teaching anything about any whatever culture it is that you want your child learning and studying about, especially if it's somebody that looks like you, it's a history that looks like you, right? We
Yeah.
want our kids to be educated like that. But I would not, regardless, I don't know, Raheem. Like, I don't
If-
want my kids learning something that's going to be detrimental. And for me, some
I
of these
agree.
things are
I
very
agree.
detrimental.
I agree, but you could teach the same thing. Say if you say a Chinese history. Now, if it includes the same thing that you say the Black history is including, that's indoctrinating your children, why teach that? If you're gonna say
I mean,
Russian
over
history,
there, they do, though. They indoctrinate constantly,
yeah,
right? I
I'm just
mean,
using that as an example. If you're gonna teach Russian history and you say, well, this is indoctrinating our children, why teach that? Across, if they did it across the board with every piece and part of history that they taught, if they did it that way, I say this all the time. People get mad at me. I don't care if you don't treat me fairly, as long as you treat me the same as you treat everybody else.
yeah, and I agree with that. And I like what, like, Coleman, I don't know if he's ever called in, but he should call in, because I like what he said, right?
Yeah, he's at work.
They teach it. Oh, he's at work. He said they'll be throwing wood on the fire. Yes. Okay. So most white kids now are listening to rap. They understand the vernacular, and we have shown as a Black people, even though whites have had their foot on us for years, we keep striving and growing. They don't want us to be that powerful. Look, I want everybody to know their own strength and power. I don't care who you are, where you come from, what language you speak. I want you to be empowered, because everyone needs that. Everyone has something inside of them that is powerful, whether it's their voice, their writing, their singing, whatever it is. We all have that strength and that power, and we should uplift each other, regardless of our backgrounds and our histories or where we come from. That is what we're supposed to do as a society and a community. And to take away from anybody's history, and I hope nobody misconstrues that, what I'm saying, like, to take away from anybody's history is wrong. I will never agree with that. I do not agree with that. So, but for me, it's about how they're teaching it, because kids' minds are so fragile. And if we teach the wrong things, that's going to make or break. And the schools, have a lot of power over our kids' minds.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We
And so
have to
my
be
thing
careful
is,
with that.
yeah, and my thing is you have to be careful across the board. Toya with a T, good morning. How you doing this morning? Toya?
Mute button got her again.
Yeah. she's
Good
probably
morning, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Somebody got the volume up kind of loud and we're getting a little feedback. I think we fixed it though. I think. Do I hear myself? Okay. Toya with a T.
Yes, sir.
Florida. You know
Yeah.
the situation that they're going through right now where they're saying they're not going to teach a part of Black history and things of that nature. And my thing is this right here. I say it all the time. I don't care if you don't treat me fairly, as long as you treat me the same as you treat everybody else.
Right.
I'm okay with it. But my thing is, if you can't say that this part of history is indoctrinating our children and doing these different things when you're teaching other people's history that could very well be doing the same thing. Make it across the board. Don't just pick and choose and say this group, this group right here, this the one, this the one. You can't do that. Toya, talk to me, sis.
Well, ain't no such thing as America, really, because they stole something. So this is really a recreation. So to remember some of the things that happened, especially when it comes to Black history, it's going to force them to remember what really America really is.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. But I don't agree. So the reason why we teach Black history is because of the tragedy it's been through, just like we teach about what Adolf Hitler did, just like we teach about Pearl Harbor, just like we teach about, you know what I'm saying? There's a series of things that happen in history. And specifically in America, we teach Black history because of the atrocity that we went through. So for some racist state like Florida, to want to remove it, I can see that because again, it's not about building culture; it's about taking away culture, and we see that every day here in America. We see on how our government like to take away culture; they like to take away knowledge because that hides the truth. And if we begin to take out Black America and the truth, then white people will not know the truth. White people will not understand. We're going to have the same misconception, and I'm going to use Badger as an example, and a ton of other people who grew up in white homes who didn't know the truth about Black America or what happened to Black people and just feel like we're crying and complaining and don't understand the actual history. So I do think that there's still a strategy that they're using in Florida to be able to keep their people uneducated about ethic, values and real issues that help build the African American communities. And I think it's going to create a bigger divide because ignorance, as we already know, if you don't know, you don't care. And them hiding that means that they're going to create a world of ignorance for the post-Trump era that we're in without trying to, you know what I'm saying? Make sure that everybody is educated and understand everybody's backgrounds fairly.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's good. That's good. Tucson, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, well, I thought about the change. I don't know why was that okay to, and nobody raised a flag. I love people. I have no choice of loving people. But there's an agenda that you see on every commercial, every movie, in our schools. My son had triplets about 4 or 5 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And before the children got out of hospital, they asked my son and his wife whether they wanted to give them a what did you call that? Whether they male or female. You said, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, they want to call them
allow
he, she,
them
or they?
to gender.
Oh, yeah.
Gender. Choice of gender.
Choice of gender.
You You want me to start all over?
Man, no, I know what you're saying, but ain't no choice. You look this okay. You got this part. This is what you are. You got this part.
Okay.
This
So
what you are.
listen to this conversation we're having here, Raheem. Because you allowing children, and you know it's true, to choose whether they want to be a gender or not. Tell me when I'm lying.
Wow.
Do we have that in America? And it starts with they teaching that in our schools. You're talking about indoctrinating. I don't see nobody having no problem with that. Am I talking off point somewhere?
No, keep going. Keep going.
I'm just saying. Look at look at our and I understand that we're just supposed to see people as people, as long as you don't see them as black people. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just saying. Because I can understand somebody not understanding or saying that for sure it probably will cause more harm than good from the beginning, because it'll be an uproar, because I didn't know mama and papa or grandmother or granddaddy was that mean. I'm just saying. But at the same time, look at what they put first. Watch the strategy of the conversation. They put, we don't want to teach Black Lives Matter. What that got to do with history? That just come up a couple of years ago. Didn't it?
Yeah.
What that got to do with history? Now, if Black Lives Matter, whoever started that, had an agenda, it was already obvious what their agenda was. Because ain't nobody studying that, really. Because the only thing that matters in America is what matters in America. Let me just say it like that, because you got some folks that try to control the narrative. So when they try to control the narrative, they put something negative in the forefront and cause everybody else to be in an uproar and say, "Oh, Black Lives Matter! Oh, Black Lives Matter! I don't want my children to know nothing about it." That's a bad thing already. That's bad already. So here I am, and I am Asian American person. That'll raise a flag for me. I didn't want to call nobody else out. I just put out Asian.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. There's a lot of layers on this thing, man. Zamari, what's on your heart?
I'm gonna listen to this conversation of Raheem. I think that
Raheem,
I'll be quiet for about an hour.
No, you ain't. I'm coming right back to you. I'm coming right back to you, Zamari. Oh Lord, go ahead, Zamari. Badge, I'll come to you next. Go ahead, Zamari.
I mean, he's got a really good point, though. I mean, it's a touchy thing. I mean, if you're going to teach history, but things that are more new age, I can't really get on board with. It's like, it's not history yet, in my opinion, right? We're still living it. It's still there. It's still present, right? History is something that's already happened. It's in the past. This is still very present and very in our face, if you will, right? This is still being talked about. You still have the activists going forward with it. So if we're going to teach things that are historical, then teach things that are historical, and just leave it there, right? Uplift your communities, uplift the blacks, uplift the whites. Uplift the whites. What? Uplift every culture, every race. But let's do it. If you're going to teach history, teach history. I don't think we need to be teaching new age things in a classroom as if they have some historical value, because as of right now, they do not.
Let me ask you this question, Zamari. Do you think the way that they teach in Black history in the school systems today, do you think they're doing it a justice, or do you think they pick certain individuals and they push them individuals every year? They push them in. From the time I was in elementary school all the way up to the time my grandkids are in elementary school now, it's consisted of the same people. They don't dig deep into it. They don't teach you anything different. They don't teach you anything new. It's like you learned about the same people every year.
Okay.
Every year.
So I am naive with a lot of things culturally. I'm going to admit that, because I think a lot of us are, depending on what we're studying or what we're interested in, right? So we don't know a lot of different cultures or a lot of different things within those cultures. So for me, my daughter went to school. I don't know if you guys have it in your area or not, but they do like these live wax museums in elementary, and the students get to pick different historical figures that they want to represent for the wax museum. My daughter, and I don't know if you guys know who she is. I didn't know who she was until my daughter brought the work home for her, the history home for her. So Sojourner Truth. I had no idea who that woman was.
Yeah.
My daughter wanted to represent her because she loved what she did for the, just for society, for the community. And at first I was kind of like, I'm kind of worried about you doing that. You're representing a Black person. And because of the tensions between race and everything, it just kind of made me a little uncomfortable, because I was more afraid that someone would come at her for doing that. Right. But I'm like, you know what, baby? I had her explain it to me. Baby, why do you want to represent this person? Because she did really good things, Mom. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
Go for it, baby. Do it. Do it.
Exactly.
So there are things that my kids are learning historically now that they didn't teach us about Sojourner Truth in class when I was a kid. They didn't teach us anything except about George Washington and, the Indians. And that was pretty much the extent of it. That was it. Right.
And see, and that's my thing, because, if you go, like you said earlier, if you want to teach history, teach the whole history, and we don't expect for them to be able to teach you everything in school. Sometimes you got to go out, you got to do some studying and research and pull stuff up yourself. But there are a lot of things that they could teach, and I think teach a little better. Mr. Hicks, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Raheem.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said I was going to go to bed. I'm sorry. I sure did. Magic, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry about that.
So I had to look up the definition of indoctrinate. It says teach a person or group to accept a set of beliefs. And farther down, it gave examples of indoctrination: hiding facts, despairing, rejecting any ideas that contradict the teacher's belief. Indoctrination is a means of forcing, brainwashing, or imposing desired ideologies. Now, the interesting thing about this whole thing with Florida is it's not a history class. It's a AP, African American Studies. It's studies.
Okay.
So it's not just history.
Yeah. Okay. But my question and my concern, Badger, is and I'm gonna try to pull the video up that I saw earlier. Because that's the one I played earlier, wasn't it? Why just this group though? Because they say they're teaching Chinese, they're teaching all the other groups, and they have a list of all the ones that they are teaching along the same lines. If you put them side by side, it's like you go down the list. You go down the list and you say, okay, we're gonna teach all these. Oh, African American, take that one out. Take that one out, and you keep all the rest of them. That's why I have an issue. That's what my problem is. You can't do that.
Like I said, I agree with Toya on some of the things that she was saying. They don't want certain things taught. They don't want to know that there's still a fight going on that is continued from that really hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It's like, to hear and to learn the culture of a different people of a different race that is also residing in America and their experiences to be able to learn and find common ground of communication. If we're able to achieve that, those folks in power are going to lose it.
Mm.
And the biggest fight, there are probably I'd say 3 top things that most people fight the absolute most in America about.
Mm-hmm.
Race, religious belief, and, well, social media wants us to fight over the gay stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And those 3 are pretty much dominant and have been dominant, at least through my from when I was a kid. There's always been these fights over those 3 things. And now they're even wanting to attack in a course that's optional, that's not even actually a part of the curriculum. It's something that students, and it's predominantly college, they are trying to see if they can get a version that'd be accepted in high school. But the thing that absolutely pissed me off is that video that you showed
Yes.
was showing these little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything I'm finding and researching, they're not putting it in elementary school. It's a college course.
Mm-hmm.
It's an AP course.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well,
college level.
Well, they say they're saying high school and college, but primarily you're absolutely right. It is on the college level.
So,
but again, my question
hold
is,
on.
but again, my question is, why just this group of people? But go ahead, Badger, finish your thought, brother.
Okay. So we're talking about indoctrinating, right? That's the word that governor used, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Isn't he indoctrinating by putting those images that aren't true?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to say that, am I?
Say it, brother. Say it. Say it.
Guess what? He's a white guy.
Mm-hmm.
This is crap I fight against all the damn.
Hey.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear people, saying that, well, this sounds like it's indoctrinating, and I'm going, you just watched that news, that news for that 3-minute thing where they're showing this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I call that out, they want to attack me and, outcast me because, oh man, you're just one of those kinds. Man, wake up.
Good deal. Right there, Badger. Mr. Hicks, we got a couple of people on the phone. We're going to go to the phone as well. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart, brother? How do you feel about this, man? Are they being very selective in what they're teaching or picking out what they want to teach and what they don't want to teach? And are we becoming victims of it, or our children becoming victims of it?
Yes. Good morning, family.
Good morning. Ms. Hicks, I'm gonna put you on full screen for a second, okay?
Okay, yes, sir. Is this related to DeSantis and the Florida thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, the first thing that struck me was like I saw a transferring of the anger and biasness that was focused on Trump being focused on him politically because he is a political possibility. It's hard to separate the politics from the real. American history is Black history. I think the problem is it's not a matter that we don't get the true history of thing. No one gets the true history. The average person, the average white person, I can sit around and have a conversation on length of time. I reveal so much about their history that they don't know. I think that again, I sent you a clip. I don't know if you got it. It was talking about the civil rights movement of the 60s, his origin and the influence of Marxists and communists on that movement. And their whole intention was to use the so-called Negro as cannon fodder in their attempt for revolution. And it's never stopped. It's been there since the very origin of this country with the revolution in France. There's always been division in this country about which way to go. But the history the true. I mean, we as Christians, we don't even know the true history of the Reformation. You know, we don't know that we are supposed to be in revolt against Catholicism and the priests and the popes. We don't recognize that they murdered the first 4 presidents of this country, on 2 of them on the 4th of July. We also don't know that Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, who opposed as being white people, were people of a hue color that had our ancestry in their roots. I think the fact is, the honesty is that we are our gene pool, we're all mixed up. You know, if you trace your family line back, you're going to find a little bit of mixture of everything since the beginning of this earth and man's travel upon it. I think now this here is geared to be a political issue. It's another wedge to have division against the people. The bottom line is, recognize this. None of us know our true history. None of us. Few of us. Because the powers that be that controls the media and controls the well, that's why we send them to school. We send kids to school for them to program them to fit into the system. So if I mean, I don't have children in school now, but I have grandkids and great grands, and when I have to get a chance to talk to my family and people, I'm saying you've got to take up the mantle and you've got to educate your children. That means you got to know. If you're not studying in your house, you're not cracking a book. Even now, it astonished me. It's so hard for people to have the discipline to read. I'm not talking about listening to videos. I'm talking about listening to speeches. To read, because there's something that happened between your mind-body relationships when you read words. Yeah, it stimulates neurons in your brain. So it's interesting, but this is all political. Critical race theory is divisive. It's given a history with the anger of anger. His whole purpose of it, coming from a leftist Marxist progressive philosophy, is to cause confusion and cause division. And they're gearing this up now to get the populace ready to fight their different positions for the next election coming up.
Wow.
And I just try to like this here. Don't fall victim. I mean, we watched the last thing ago. We just watched it happen. It was an insurrection. They tried to take over the country. They go through the process, the rule of the law. They find, and I said during that whole thing, this is not insurrection. I'm a soldier. I studied war. This was not, but that was the hoax, and everybody else talked it. Get him, lock him up. He got danger. He got weapons. But now with all the stuff about it, there's a silence. Just let's try to stay out of picking a side in this. Just watch it like a circus. Pick our best client, that person we're going to vote for, and vote on that measure. But don't try to influence the people around you what they should think.
Were you about to say to pick the best clown?
Hey, you said it. They're both clowns. When you realize it, our solution for our children, for our economy, for our personal life, don't rest with government. Government is our enemy. The people, the powers, and the people.
All right, preacher, hold on, stay right there for a minute, preacher. You know, you get every now and then. It don't happen often, but every now and then you get a little long-winded on us. It don't happen that often, but every now and then, well, when the topic that you like, brother, you're gonna get long-winded on us. You're gonna tell us the story. But we definitely appreciate that, man, because that's coming from wisdom. Let me go to Cassandra. Cassandra, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning.
What do you think about this whole Florida situation, man? And where they're trying to take a certain part of the curriculum out and not teach it?
Yeah, you know, I actually sent you the little cartoon thing where they had the little girl marching in between the Governor DeSantis and the GOP, and she was saying, "I'm not afraid to learn about Black history." To me, that was so hot. The visual of it, and just her saying, "I'm not afraid of Black history." I don't understand why you're afraid of history, and it's something that took place in the past. And what is the past? Yesterday is a part of the past. So teaching about something that happened 2 weeks ago, teaching about George Floyd, teaching about, those things are a part of the past already, because anything in the past, has already happened, right? We know that. Just intellectually, we know that. So I don't understand, and I'm still fighting with the reenactment that I direct in Georgia, which people get upset about. Well, why are you teaching that? That happened way back. These 4 people were killed because of them in 1946. I'm talking 2 young couples. So do we not talk about it because, that's going to upset somebody because it happened. Black history has happened in the United States. We have spent our entire lives fighting for rights, and you tell me that we can't talk about things that happened to the people that actually built this country? Are you kidding me? And people get upset about that, talking about it's political. I don't give a rat's ass if you consider it political. It's our history, and it needs to be told. I don't care who doesn't like it, who it upsets. If it upsets your mama, your daddy, too bad. It's our history. It's Black history. It's U.S. history.
Now,
I'm sorry. That's just bottom line.
You still got your GPS set for the corner?
Yep, got it on.
All right, well, go on over there. Go ahead on. Leonard, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem, and the Morning Glow family.
Man, we're talking about this history situation and how DeSantis has elected not to teach a certain part of Black history. They had all the other groups there, Chinese, all the other people, and they're teaching that, but they pulled out the part dealing with Black history. And I'm wondering, is there a disservice going on there? What do you think about that? Good morning.
Well, I'm not sure what disservice you mean.
In not teaching that part of the history.
Well, it's those folks in Florida that should be really standing up against it, but because you have to remember, education is different from state to state.
Yeah.
Now, the issue that with this AP African American Studies course is completely out of the purview of the governor. The governor shouldn't even be. He's uneducated in these issues. So his attack on it is where the suspicion should be. And he's really exposing himself and the rest of those racists in Florida.
Wow.
And everybody and everyone that is against teaching the truth of the matter. However,
do you think it's racist?
It's definitely racist. He's a racist.
Wow.
Most of them are. So, and they're always going to be on the side of white supremacy. This is why they attack African American studies. Amongst intellectuals and intelligent people and people seeking knowledge, you don't have a problem with it. It's those people with that narrow mindset who have been around. They've been doing the same thing. This is just another attack on teaching the truth about African American history. Now, I do have some issues with the scope of the course. How, if these kids can get college credit for this course, they need to be allowed to do that, because there are several African American degrees and things like that they can further their career with, pursuing that career. So the school should be offering them that, so they can go to college and have that advanced placement experience. There are other things that they are putting in here that one needs to be critiqued.
Such as
those issues that lean more towards opinion and perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Our history had no problem. Like, say, for instance, topic 419, Black queer studies.
Yeah.
That seems to be out of the purview for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would have to show me where they're also teaching this same topic for everyone.
Yeah, that was my point earlier. And I was saying about if you're going to, because we had the list up. Zamaria, she actually pulled the list up about what it was, and I said, well, if you're going to take it out or not include it here, are you doing the same thing across the board with every other group that's being taught? And that was my issue. If you're not doing that, then you're doing absolute disservice. Go ahead, brother.
Feminist literary thought. That seems a bit misplaced.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand certain things there. Because think about it. If we're going to teach an African American history course, you got Black queer studies, right?
Uh-huh.
How would that be any different than white queer studies?
It's not.
How is Black feminist thought any different than white feminist thought?
It's not.
What has been held back by it
Mm-hmm.
in the past?
Good deal.
There's never been a real issue with teaching queer studies or feminist literary thought. What you usually find is it usually is on a college level.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because one, you're at a certain age now. At that age,
maturity,
and when you become a high school citizen,
mm-hmm.
you got to remember some of these folks are 18, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hold right there.
Go ahead.
Okay, hold right there. Let me pull some more people and come right back to you. Let me go to Shanavia. Shanavia, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning? Oh yeah, you get the government team today.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm cool with it. I'll be waiting for the government. Good morning. How y'all doing this morning?
Hey, doing good. Sister, what's on your heart surrounding this whole Florida situation and them taking out certain parts of the curriculum and not teaching it?
Whew, it's a lot. I love what everybody has said thus far, though. Definitely appreciate that. I don't really know if I have too much more to add to it because I think that, everybody before me has kind of like summed it up perfectly, at least since I've been on the phone. But I mean, I'm with you. I don't understand, like, why is it such an issue to teach this course at a college level? It's a college course.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is that an issue? I don't get that. And I also don't understand the whole indoctrinating thing. Like, our kids are going to be indoctrinated. Well, is it are we not already to some degree being indoctrinated? Because whenever I open up my history books, it seems to me that Black history always starts with slavery. So it's okay for me to believe that my history started just with slavery, and the only people that I'm supposed to learn about is Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, and then Malcolm X, and that's it. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's not indoctrinating. That's
Mm-hmm.
not indoctrinating, but me actually getting the culture, because see, everybody Black until it's time to be Black. So why is it an issue that this course is being taught at a college level, not elementary, not junior high, and selectively in some high schools, it hadn't even got that far. We're talking about young adults that have a right to choose whether they want to take the course or not. Now, I agree with what Mr. Leonard said. Some of the things that are in there it's not perfect. Switch it up, go back to the drawing board, but the very basics of it, why is that a problem? So it's okay for you to indoctrinate me one way, but it's not okay for me to like unindoctrinate myself. I don't even know if that's a word, but we're gonna roll with it. But it's not okay for me to learn the true history of it. And at the very basis of it, even if you don't teach it in offer the course, the AP course or whatever, cool. It's still my job as a Black woman to educate whoever it is around me that truly wants to know. But I first have to know that history myself. Yes. So I can't leave it to someone else to teach me, my sister, my cousins, my kids, whomever. It's still up to me. But that should be a course, because we don't say nothing about, the Holocaust survivors being indoctrinated. We don't say nothing about any other part of quote unquote American history being an indoctrination until we got to this.
Exactly. Wow. Rico, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I can't complain, man. Just happy to see another beautiful day, man. How y'all doing?
Hey, good to have you, brother. Rico, let me hear you, man. What is your take on this whole situation, man? Is there a disservice being done? Are we being targeted again?
We ain't never stopped being targeted. And if we have to ask the question if there's been a disservice, then that means we keep getting caught up in the illusion. We keep drinking the Kool-Aid thinking everything is good and everything is changed. To me, none of it makes sense. I mean, could you imagine the Jews going to the Nazis that still believe Hitler's rhetoric to learn about the Holocaust and their heritage or their legacy, or wanting the Nazis to teach it? That's what we do.
Wow.
Could you imagine angels trying to kick the doors in the hell to get the word to get to heaven? Could you imagine that? Tell me what kind of sense that makes. Number one, we should already expect it. They give us so many clues that when you think about America, you think about white privilege, white entitlement, white America. That's the reason why now you have to say African American, Latino American. Because if you just put American out there deep down inside, you don't even have to put white in front of it. It's already assumed and expected, because that's what it was intentionally supposed to be for them. When they want to make America great again, it was all built on white entitlement, white and privilege, white progress. Now we want them to teach our history when they were the ones that created the conditions that exist. What kind of sense does that make? What should you expect from a people that don't want to acknowledge what they did was done, but that was just the way it was back then, and it made sense, and that's what America was built off of. I mean, those original founders and the original people from back then, man, they were cool with taking our history away from us, stripping us of our language, not wanting us to read, saying we were 3/5 human, just colonizing, raping, and buck breaking. That's what they did. Fed babies to alligators. You know what I'm saying? Would you expect the Nazis to come back and teach the Jews? I mean, and these are people that really still benefit from what Hitler did or whatever. Would you expect the Jews to want them to teach them the proper history? Nope. But what are we trying to do? So, I mean, really and truly, man, this is one of those situations where we have to sit back and ask ourselves, man, really and truly, what type of sense does this make? I don't think the Amish people participate in American society and then expect American curriculum to teach them about the Amish culture. I don't think the Japanese Americans expect America to correctly teach about what happened with the prisoners of war. Do you expect the Vietnamese to come to America and learn through our history that the Gulf of Tonkin was a lie?
Wow.
And that America went to Vietnam and it was a lie? We don't know. They don't teach us about Operation Northwoods. They don't teach us about, now it was admitted it was more than one bullet that killed John F. Kennedy. We want these same people that's teaching us the education that they want us to know so America can have a great story to include ours in it and put their spin on it. We're asking them, what we need to do is critical race theory at home.
At home. Exactly. Wow. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. We're talking about the situation going on in Florida, in the educational system in Florida. Is it right, wrong? Is it business as usual across the board? Is it business as usual? Give us a call. Let us know what you think. Phone lines are open. 508-924-3521. Toya, you want to talk to me, sis? Toy, you there?
I am here.
There you go.
So, no, very valid points, right? However, I think that because the way the system is set up, when we fought for our rights, we're not asking them to teach it. We're asking them to be allowed to be taught about. See, the system is already dominated or monopolized by them. And when it comes to teaching, the allowance of teaching Black history, the only reason why they're teaching it is because they run the system and they're not going to let us in. But the allowance of that is what we're talking about, in my opinion. So the brutality that we experience should not just be saved for media to throw out there as a speculation. America is designed as a system. They are designed there where Black and white writing matters. Things are documented, and when it comes to, again, this what we call it, the pipeline to prison system, the allowance of Black history needs to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we now need to do is talk about a different system, because this is what is right. We shouldn't expect the system that's already corrupt against us to put out the proper information, just like the media. That's not what they do it for. The media don't do things because you want to hear it. They do it because they feel like it makes news.
Yeah.
So, the allowance of it should be allowed. You should not be allowed to be able to tell the truth. And if the truth just so happens that the truth happens to a majority of one specific people, you need to teach that so you don't go back and do it again. So I get it. But this is where when we send our children to school and the teachers give them most of the information, that also means that back in the home, like we say all the time, it's not just the teacher's job.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets complicated being Black in America, because my thing is this: if we're going to be independent, we're going to be independent everything. I mean, we can't lean on them for nothing, because that's not independence. That's still codependent. So we're in a little bit of a bind being Black in America, because either we want our independence and we want to be segregated, or we don't.
Mm-hmm.
So that means when it comes to teaching history, we teach our history and a little bit of theirs, just like we're in their system, and they teach their history, what they want you to know, their spells, their incantations, and a little bit of you. And if you don't decide what you want to do with it, that's up to you. However, I just feel like in the system that we are in, them teaching Black history, it makes them assume accountability and responsibility for the truth of what happened right here on this soil, and I think that is a necessity.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's good. That's good. Toussaint, what's on your heart, brother? Zamar, coming to you next. Toussaint, you there? Zamar,
I was talking with the mute button on, man.
Oh, okay. All right.
It don't work like that. Anyway, I was looking at this Black queer studies, critical ethology. I think that's what and whatever that word is. Anyway, and so I'm looking in the contents, and I see the acknowledgement and forward in the word and introduction, queering Black studies. And I'm curious to find out what that is, because the first discipline tensions, Black studies, queer studies, punks, bulldaggers, and warfare, queers, the racing of. I'm looking at that and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, now we know all about that.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
I mean, whether you Black, white, green, polka dot stripes, you know that, I tell you what, you better not call them that on the job.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to see, some things are better taught at home.
Yeah.
That's just me. Okay, that would settle that. Sit at the dinner table and teach your children about certain things, because there's always been a blockage in culture to not teach culture and how they got there. Rico mentioned something about how some people wind up some kind of way, and you talk about buck breaking.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they would break a buck?
Yeah.
Do you know how they would break a buck, and who was the buck breaker?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we look through history, and sooner or later the buck start liking to be broke.
Mm.
You heard what I said?
Wow.
You heard what I said?
Wow. Mm.
You start sooner or later, you know, people that be in a situation get so comfortable with it that they become that.
Mm.
And there's an agenda in this country, a hidden agenda, to make to put out a scenario, but long as it doesn't pinpoint a certain people.
Mm-hmm.
I see the frustration in that because, you know, I don't know. I don't really understand the big thing about Black queer study, because why don't you just teach queer study?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to even know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not important to me.
And see, I agree. I agree with you. Me personally, I really don't want to know it, but there is a group of people out there that is very near and dear to them because they live their lifestyle. And so yeah. But see, my
that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. See, but my thing is this. My thing is this right here, man. You can't, like I think there was something that said that you can't take that part of it out of just this group and include it in all the other groups. I don't want to learn. I don't want to learn it across the board. Just that's just me though.
No.
But there's some
it.
people that live their lifestyle, and so go. I see.
That's not important.
Yeah.
But his agenda, agenda to pass across, because now it's a normal thing. And I'm not just want to focus on that, because we'll start being accused of throwing out a hate speech.
Yeah.
You see how that went right quick?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You hear what I'm saying? Because somebody already thought that.
Mm-hmm. It has nothing.
And you know what the problem? Probably the problem is.
What's that?
Is I can't say.
How you gonna put us out there like that, man? Let me go to Zamari, and then we're gonna go to Abaji, and then we're gonna circle around. We got a couple people on the phone line as well. Then the phone lines are open. You can certainly be a part of the conversation. Dial 508-924-3521. Zamari, what's on your heart?
I'm half listening. I'm struggling and yelling at my children today. So and today is a day. It's Friday, and they've got that weekend fever thing going on. I don't know if I have really anything else to add to this. I think I've pretty much said my feelings on it. I mean, look, I'll just say this really quickly is history is history in America, right? If you go over to Asia, it's going to be Asian history. Okay. Here, American history is American history. Like I always say, we are a melting pot here, and all things that make up this culture of American culture needs to be taught and should be taught.
Yeah.
Okay. Should be taught. Okay. That's white, black, brown, yellow, purple, green. I don't care. If you help to build this country and make this country into what it is, your history needs to be spoken to. All of us had a part. All of our ancestors had a part in creating this country and making it into what it is. So yes, it does need to be taught. And unfortunately, like my father always says to me, because he tells me this quite often, homeschool your kids.
Yeah.
Because the school system in general is not going to do its job, and they're going to put politically, yes, they're going to put their own agenda into it. There is going to be an indoctrination to it, no matter which way you slice it or how you want to look at it, whether you believe it or not. our kids in American schools are being indoctrinated. They are. The best way to teach your child is to homeschool them. For me, I would lose my mind doing that. I think most of us would. I've tried doing it. I cannot do it. It's very hard. But if you are able to give your child or children the time, homeschool them, because their learning experience is going to look vastly different from what the school system is going to give them, because they do miss a lot of pieces, and there's a lot of things that aren't being taught that should be taught. And then what do we have to do? Like Navy said, right? She had to go in and unlearn, relearn, retrain her thought patterns because of the way that they're teaching. So she had to unindoctrinate herself with a lot of things. And I think a lot of us, as we get older, we have to do that. I used her word. I'm pretty sure it's not a word either, but there's no other way to describe it. It's really what it is. You have to get out of those patterns. So like, even when my kids come home from school, right? And they tell me things that they're learning or that they're teaching. And then I have to go, wait, no. That's not what really happened. I said, you can't go to school and put that on your paperwork, but so you know, this is the truth of it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. Miss Hicks, coming to you next.
The history is, I guess I got stuck also on the word studies versus the word history. Because to me, history class is different than a study or like a social studies. And if I'm wrong that they're different, please someone correct me. Like, does anyone know if those are the same or different?
Okay.
Well, when you're going to school, it's called studying, right? You're studying science, you're studying history, you're studying math. It is a study. But when they're talking specifically about studies, it means they are focusing on that very narrow corner of this particular thing. So it's the same, but it's not the same. If we're talking about studying genetics, they're studying specifically genetic studies. So if they're doing, I don't know if they're just doing this in college courses or if they are planning on implementing this in like elementary classes, which I don't think it should be implemented in elementary or even middle school or high school. I think it should be left out of that. This is something that should just stay at a college level. So, but there is a difference, but it depends on, because I think it's more focusing on those Black studies, it could be considered more of that narrowed down studies, not just study.
Okay. Badger?
I just want to make sure I was getting my words right. So it's, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking of why they, I mean, I can't speak of what should be allowed in it and what shouldn't be, because I'm not African American. So I want to support it. However, I don't feel that I should have a say of what's being taught in it. Because I'm not of that race. Just like,
can you see where there's a disservice, whether you are or not? Can you see where there's a disservice involved in that, in not teaching it?
yes, it's just though it goes to the Native American history. You know, like it goes into the Irish and Scottish history, the Jewish history, and so on and so on, or the studies of the cultures. You know, which does cover history, but it also covers all the way up till today. And why they react or not react in certain situations, and so on and so on. I think Leonard was wanting to say something. He's probably trying, making sure I'm corrected on something.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Well, I see I'm gonna go Mr. Hicks next, so I'm gonna go Mr. Hicks. I'm gonna go Leonard. I'm gonna go Goddess. Goddess is on with us as well. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart, sir?
Well, I'm not sure. I guess I gotta shoot. I saw undercover video of these teachers in a school situation, and they were discussing how to read critical race theory to implement it on that level. And I guess the thing I see is that there's an agenda. Back in the '60s, where I grew up, the period I grew up in. I mean, you guys read about it. I lived through it. You had Panthers doing food things. You had Amiri Barker doing consciousness thing. You had a lot of education going on all outside of the system. We were educating each other. The powers to be saw this co-op these activists that were spreading this knowledge, and put them in the colleges where they had the ability to control the curriculum. I was thinking about the thing of Pol Pot in Cambodia. Pol Pot, when he came into power, he killed all the elders. He killed all the old people. He killed people, the intellectuals, that even if they had glasses, they killed them. They got skulls stacked up because they knew that if you teach the children, they become agents of the system, agents of the government. Same thing happened with Hitler's Germany. We're educating at the end of the war. It was little kids out there fighting that battle. It's in Africa with the child soldiers. Children are easy to influence, easy to. For instance, now I have talked with my son and other young folks. Right, we have a conversation. We're talking about something, and based off of their Google searches, based off what we learn, we know so much now. We don't know anything because we require a machine to verify what we know. I read this, and I'm gonna repeat that so I know this. The line from elders, and they're elders older than me. When I get around people who are 80 years old, 85, I got an uncle who have a birthday February 28th. He'll be 100, and his wife, my aunt, she's 96.
Wow.
And when you get around these people, they don't have the academia, but when they talk from their experience and you have the ability to listen, they pass on things to you that you have the ability to pass on to those under you. I think about how it used to be in school, the original school setting. You had sixth graders, seventh graders, 12th graders all in one classroom. So the underclassmen was always looking up to the elders in the higher class for that direction. But when they broke things down and had all the kids of the same age, with no hierarchy, and then co-ed with women, with little girls, that definitely influenced the flow of things. I guess, and I'm not going to preach, but end with this. Let's understand the game. Why did DeSantis make this move now? Why did he make this move now? Because he knew this from us. He would get this from people. It's a divisive issue. He did it for political reasons. The people that are going after him is going for political reasons. And everybody's losing sight of the real fact that your education comes from home, not just the words. Your kids watch what you do. They watch you answer the phone. They watch all those little subtle lies you do. They watch your ethics, and they mimic that. You're teaching them by how you walk in this world, how you live in this world. Don't expect it. It's like Rico said it clear. How will you expect them to go against everything of history and start doing something? When I say them, and I'm not talking about the white people. I'm talking about a system of thought, and it's white and black in there. If you want to get into colors, when we escape the boundaries of seeing ourselves as a color or seeing ourselves as a race, and forget that we are human beings and we're facing everybody else that's human beings going through struggles trying to figure this stuff out. They don't know the history. We don't know the history. I know we don't know the history. I can listen to how people talk and know they don't know. And it's frustrating me because I take the time to study and I'm trying to figure out, how do I deliver this to a people? How do I fight against the talking heads on television, the people that put the spotlight on want the people to be their issue of the day? And how do I critical see this here and not get caught up in getting a shot that ain't been tested or proven because everybody around me is doing it? I left for marriage because of that. I hold sovereignty over my life, what goes in it. I speak my truth in front of people, and I'm willing to pay the price for it.
Good deal.
I'm not going with the top. And I think we need to start being critical thinkers. And if you're talking to phone, everybody talking the same thing. I get no growth out of myself spiritually when I'm talking with somebody who agrees with me. It's when I talk with somebody who have a different perspective. When I try to go through their perspective, that's when I learn something. But 89% of people who vote for this guy, you can't call them all bad. You can't lump them in a barrel. When you look from their perspective, I can see how they come. You say, I understand, but I don't agree. Because I took time to listen to your perspective. We still have honor between us. We can talk again tomorrow, as I change and as you change. But
good deal, I appreciate it. Preacher.
Oh, come on now! Don't do that. I started here and I start timing things. I start timing everybody you handle. I said, I want to see this thing. I want to see this thing. That's the kind of person I am.
You looking at it?
I force people to treat me right. All right, peace.
All right, good deal, good deal. Goddess, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Morning Glow family. Good morning.
Good morning. We're talking about the situation that DeSantis has created in Florida, in not teaching certain studies, African studies. Is there a disservice there, or is it right, wrong? Is he right or is he wrong? How do you feel about it?
It's totally wrong. But we ourselves we've been taught wrong. We've been taught completely wrong. And the fact that they don't want to be taught at all. The key factor is, and my brother spoke on a lot of positive stuff that is the one you called pastor just a second ago, that a lot of people are just totally ignoring. We go with the flow, and we don't sit and think for ourselves. And with the main agenda that's out here is to population control, and we forget about that. And we continue to run with the masses because so-and-so said this, or you put a big name behind it, and they said that. Our history has been redeveloped, re-put in, lied to. We've been lied to for years and years and years. It starts all the way back to the biblical times. And I hate to keep going back there, but that's where we have to keep going back. We had men that write the Bible.
Okay, let's.
But where we already.
Okay,
I'm going to the history.
Well,
so they put lies then, but they did not in the history now, even here today, how they actually done us. They don't want their parents, grandparents, their children don't want them looking at them crazy. There's a book that people have taken, they don't want people to see or read, of how they tortured us, how they sold us, how they took kids and fed them to alligators, babies. But we got to wake up, because even here today, we don't know who we are, and we don't realize that we were the Black Indians. We were the ones who been here in America for years. The big heads that's down in the Mayan culture part area, that's us. We got to know who we are. But we won't study because we keep going with the same flow instead of taking time to research and read. Look up John Hinckley Clark. Read different books. Read scholars that have been doing this for years and years. Ray Hagen. Ray Hagen was one of the best. He was so good in into the Bible and God, and he went and studied.
Good deal. Good deal. Let's
And
get this.
once he went and studied, he started waking up folks.
Mhm.
So we have to learn our history. It's important that they know. The reason why they don't want them to know is because they'll start learning how to actually realize the crucial point of what we brought to America, how everything that we done,
Good deal.
what we discovered.
Okay. Stay right there, sister. I'm gonna circle back around, come right back to you right there, Leonard. You had something on your heart, brother. What's on your heart?
I think people should also take into consideration. You know, I hear people comments and things like that, but in education, you never teach everything. So these particular issues that these people are having, you need to stick to critical race theory. Critical race theory is what should be taught. All those other things go in different categories. If you're going to teach gender studies don't exclude Black people. Sexualities or feminisms don't exclude people. What you have to, in a general setting such as public education, you need to teach critical race theory, not opinions of other people that way. Because you may want to talk about something that is important to you, but is it important to everyone else? Or is it just something that you like? So you have boards that sit down and say, okay, we're going to teach this, that, and the other. Critical race theory deals with how race affects American culture. And that's what you should be teaching, because that's the issue that we're trying to attack.
But Leonard, even with that, Leonard, some people have a lot of issues with teaching that critical race theory. People have issue with that. It's been fought against.
And that's why it needs to be taught, because that's where the issue is. The issue is not with all these other sidebars. Say, for instance, Afrofuturism is a course that you can take as a part of an African studies major. You can also minor in African American studies. And this is where you get into a lot more of the specifics that a lot of people have in the general conversation. But see, critical race theory is specific.
That's good.
It's not a lot of opinions and perspectives. It shows you facts on how people were treated. If there's enough information there to even for other scholars to criticize or what have you. And we might need to stop looking at everything as if it is, let me put it this way. Older people may be able to talk about indoctrination.
Well, he froze up. It's on us right now, man. I see do one of y'all want to go ahead and go? Shanavia, you still on, or Badger?
Can I speak for a second since we have a little space? You hear me? Do you hear me?
Well,
I'm locked.
I ain't know Shanavia gonna go because you had just went. I was gonna. I mean, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah, go. No, go ahead. I see she lit up. Go ahead.
No. You can go ahead, y'all. I'm driving. I need just a few minutes.
Okay, from my understanding of critical race theory, it's a theory. It's a theory that's based in a lot of facts. It's saying that the policies, the laws that's been made in this country from the time of slavery was affected by this white supremacy. At the same time, it's a focus on the race issue, and it's great. But I think all the other ingredients that went into what's happening here, the Protestant revolt against the Catholic Church, which ruled the world, and all all the kings and queens of the earth begin to question their authority, their divine right to rule, and the movement toward democracy and people ruling themselves was on. So part of the race thing is the Protestant revolt, how the Catholic Church have been designed and trying to change the whole experiment here. But critical race theory could be taught at a certain level. I think it could be. But again, when you recognize the agenda, how they throw in there the gender thing, the gender part, it was moved toward their bigger agenda. In all actuality, the percentage of people are buying all those things is a small comparative to everyone. But their agenda is to push things to a point where they confuse, again, like I said, the kids, who they are and what their identity. But it is a propaganda and program. But Geneva, go ahead, girl.
Well, you know, my opinion goes back to what I was stating earlier. You know what I'm saying? To me, it goes back to the logic of even expecting a culture of people that still teaches that Columbus discovered America as part of their curriculum, when we know that is some flawed history, even the way that it's delivered or the narrative. But you know, we say certain words in the process, and I don't think sometimes we realize that we are still caught up or bamboozled in the same words that Malcolm X used. And there are certain words that we use, and I don't think we're comprehending them. We want them to allow.
Hold on. Hold on. I'm coming back in now. Y'all give me 1 second.
Go ahead, Tucson.
Hey, I appreciate how y'all did that. You know, everybody on Beach Scream here, the video side. I appreciate how y'all did that, man. Thank y'all.
Yes, Rico.
He did. He said, "Hold on." I said, "Okay."
Rico took control.
He did. He did a good job too. And I heard Zamaria say she not Zamaria, but Geneva say she was driving. I don't know whether she got what she. Leonard, finish your thought, brother. We kind of got kicked off when you were saying about the critical race theory.
I think that what's important is that we focus on race, because race is a dominant problem.
Mm-hmm.
And even introducing this course, the purpose is to expose young people to how we got here.
Mm-hmm.
And anything outside of that should put in another study program.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get caught up in, like, it'll turn it into perspective.
Hey, Leonard, you're skipping on me a little bit, brother. Your volume is skipping in and out.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry about that. But if you teach perspective, that's all you can say.
Mm-hmm.
But if you teach critical race theory, you teach on why we have so many problems with systemic racism in the United States.
Exactly.
In our history.
That's good. And Rico, good lookout, brother. When I got kicked out, man, good lookout. Appreciate that, man. Definitely appreciate it. Good deal. Cassandra?
Yeah.
You sound like a Ricky. What's it again? Ricky and Lucy. What's his name? What's on your heart, sister?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
When we talk about history, and we say, yeah, well, man wrote history, and we don't know what they wrote. Well, I'm curious if man wrote history, and whatever it is that you believe, whatever it is that's been taught, some man wrote that. You don't know the man, whether it was 5,000 years ago. You don't know him. You don't know what his thought pattern was when he wrote what he wrote, and that's across the board. So I sort of, when people say, well, man wrote history. Well, How the?
Hey.
Okay, so I'm lost with some things. Man, a person wrote whatever it is that you reading. Somebody wrote that. You don't know them. You don't know what their motive was when they wrote that. And we can tell the best history to me is the spoken word history that your great 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 grandmother told your great 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 grandmother, and they told your great grandmother, and then your great grandmother, and that's how a people really can track their history and know that it's real. Anything that you say somebody wrote 5,000 years ago, 2 months ago, whatever, that was a human being writing whatever it is that they. I love the Indian culture. I love the Asian culture. Our culture, we have had so much taken from us, and memories and names and places. But there are people that have been able to keep track by word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? And so we have more of an accuracy of what is the. But everything else, you talking about somebody wrote something 3,000 years ago. How do you know that person? What was their intent when they wrote what they wrote? So this is my thing. Believe what you want to believe. That's your business. But don't think that it's true because you read it from somebody that wrote it 1,200 years ago. I'm just saying.
Wow. Okay, Rico.
You know, I'm sort of going back to what I was saying earlier and what I was saying before you came back on. You know, we have to listen to the language we're using and understand, or really just have a clear understanding or reasoning of the words we're saying, because what we're doing, we're going to a culture or going to a government or a system that still teaches that Columbus discovered America. You know, and depending on them or asking, you know, I mean, I heard Toya say it earlier. We want them to allow the teaching of critical race theory.
Yeah.
We want them to allow that. Well, maybe we ought to just not even worry about them doing it and do it ourselves. Because we are still depending on these same people that say that Columbus discovered America to allow something that's really important and necessary to be taught. They would rather stick to the status quo and go along with the business as usual model than to correct the issue at hand. Race is an issue, you know, and it breaks it down critically. But just think about the logic behind that. I mean, I said it earlier. Imagine the Jews or I'm trying to think of so many different organizations that they have a lot. Imagine them going to Nazi sympathizers, asking them to allow their teachings to be taught. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
You know, so I think, man, altogether, whatever expectation we have, we got to understand that they're going to dictate what is taught. If they do allow it, it's still not going to be what's really the truth. It's still not going to be what needs to be addressed. It still is not going to be what needs to be told, the whole truth. You know, we have HBCUs that people won't go to get that extra teaching because they feel like it's more beneficial for them to go to the PWI to get the American dream. So, I mean, it's like, I don't really think, I think even though we know our history, we're so distracted to the point of where we want to accomplish and achieve that American dream so much that we don't even allow ourselves to want to go and learn critical race theory. You still have some black people that say racism doesn't exist. Racism isn't a problem. So if we don't even want to go and learn this ourselves from our own communities, from our own schools, from our own scholars, but now all of a sudden we want the PWI institutions to allow it, they still going to put their spin and narrative on it, because if they don't like what's being told, it's not going to be the correct story. So you still, it still comes back down to self-accountability, man. I mean, certain communities only use this government and this system where it benefits them. But when it comes to something like critical race theory, with the people that don't even want to admit that race is an issue, we sort of bouncing our heads against the wall.
Exactly. Navy, let me ask you a question before you answer. The absolute truth. Navy, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. The absolute truth. If we were taught the absolute truth of history, unwatered down, everything that it was, and all that and all that it was at that particular time, Black history I'm talking about, would we be able to stomach everything that happened? Or would it be too much for even us?
Man, that's a good question, because I mean, like, you still cringe
Yeah.
at some of the things that you hear. But I mean, does it make it any less important just because it's uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that whenever we're talking about certain topics such as this,
yeah,
and and challenging the thought of critical race theory and things that, can y'all hear me?
Hey, Navy, you're clipping in and out.
You're skipping in and out. Yeah, you're skipping in and out.
Office.
Yeah, it's skipping in and out a little bit.
Did I get?
Yeah, we could hear you, but it's skipping.
Oh, I think.
No, we can hear you.
But we can't understand what she's saying. It'd be better for her to clear that up and just go on to the next person, because this
call in. Shenavia, call in, sis. Call in on the phone line, because you skip on the stay here. You're skipping a little bit. So call. Yeah, there you go. Call in. Let's go to Toya with a T. Toya with a T. What's on your heart, sis? Talk to me. Hold on. I think that's Shenavia. If that's her, we're gonna go back to her. Yes. Navy, go. Okay, go ahead, sis. Let us hear you.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Much better.
But
Much better.
What I was saying was, yes, it's hard to stomach, but it doesn't make it any less. It may be hard to take from an emotional level, but it doesn't make it any less important. Because sometimes we have to be uncomfortable in order to appreciate the truth. I hate to think about what my grandma and great grandma and Pawpaw and all of them had to go through. But I need to understand that so it's not repeated. And I need to understand why it's important for me. And I think that whenever we're challenging, critical race theory versus not critical race theory, and I know this is the therapist that's going to say that, but we're leading with emotion. And if if history is only being taught, or the truth is only being taught over being made to feel good, then we're completely missing it.
Wow.
I agree with her 100% when it comes to that.
Okay.
Because I'm very unbiased, but I just want to put an example out there. Teaching kids about sex. Did you let your kids watch you and your wife have sex to teach them how?
Never.
But somehow they figured it out, didn't they? Didn't they?
Yeah.
They had a
well. Hold on. Let me say this. I guess they figured it out, because I'm not gonna sit there and watch. I don't want to see whether they figured it out or not. I'm guessing they did.
Example, but I had to go there to try to show people the difference between the purpose and the procedure and things like that related to education. Everything don't have to be shoved down your throat for you to understand it. When I was teaching and helping people with in different things, and they would say, I need to understand it first, and blah, then you're going to fail this course. Because if we sit and wait for you to understand it, who's to say the person sitting next to you going to understand it the same thing? We give you a brief overview. We show you some compare and contrast other thoughts on that particular subject. We evaluate what we've taught, and we move on. Every person really interested in education will tell you their education doesn't stop. A doctor does not stop educating himself.
Mm-hmm.
He graduated school 20 years ago,
Yeah.
but he's educating himself every single day because something changes. That dynamic changes.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be very conscious of that. Do we want certain things taught because that's just how we feel about it? I don't really think we sit and teach 6th and 7th graders that they were babies were fed to alligators.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
K through 6.
Mm-hmm.
Really? There are certain, you teach certain things at certain times, and this is why continuing education is called that, because we know we didn't tell you everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you need to continue your education to learn more about it.
Get deep. Go.
So when you
go
look at it from
just
that
a little bit deeper.
perspective,
Mm-hmm.
it's healthier. The education is much healthier. Like I hear people all the time, we weren't taught African history in school. Well, I must have been very fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I must have been very fortunate
Wow.
because I learned it in school. And then I was so into it that I continued studying everything that dealt with our people.
Mm-hmm.
You study America, you can study Africa, but guess what? You can study Haiti, you can study the diaspora is huge. At some point, you have to be rational, though, and understand what it is you're trying to accomplish before you say, well, we got to do this and we got to do. Is it rational and is it necessary?
Wow.
Everything that you feel is necessary may not be.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Stay right there, Leonard. Let me go to Toya with a T. Toya, you there? Toya? Toya may be away for a second. She'll be back with us in a second or two. Badger, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart?
I mean, that's why, like, to me, the things that are being said, a lot of the stuff is for when you go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe bits and pieces in high school, but a full-blown, like, not everything about the Civil War was taught in regular school. It kind of taught the generics. And then you can go to college and learn more about it. It's the same thing with anything. It's the furthering of education. And the part that, like, keeps throwing me off is it seems like they're pushing this narrative that is being taught to elementary school kids, yet there's no true evidence of a lot of this stuff being taught in elementary school. It's predominantly maybe in high school, here and there, but it's predominantly in college courses. So why is this whole thing about being thrown out as kids, and I guess some people's version of kids is anyone under 30. So I mean, I wish I would have learned half the stuff I learned when I was in college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I continued my education. So there's some of us that might, or at least in my case, you know, wish I would have learned some of this stuff when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
It would have changed a lot of how I interacted with people. Because critical thinking, analyzing, researching, searching for understanding of why there is such division in our country, I feel is something that does need to be touched on. And I was thought, you know, when I was in school, there was a whole lot of I didn't just learn about MLK and Malcolm X or Malcolm. Wait, I don't even know if that's the proper way to say that. I'm sorry. And different things of that nature. And then it also taught about other. So there was like a list of people that was involved in civil rights movements and different things of that nature. at least when I was in school. I
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot.
Okay, that's good.
So, and I mean, I'm only 36, so I haven't got a hold of a recent history book to see how they're teaching it now. I've actually thought about getting one because I'm curious how they taught it versus how we were taught, and see how
Mm-hmm.
much of it has actually changed.
Okay, good deal.
So I just don't understand why it sounds like they're teaching this in elementary school when there's no true evidence that it is.
Okay, okay. Zamari?
Yeah, I don't know why either, because they, like the video you showed, right? It showed elementary aged kids.
You did.
And that's where I'm confused too. Are they teaching this in colleges, or are they, maybe they're even putting this out there to different colleges to see what the effect is, how well it's received, and then maybe it'll trickle down, to the other levels. I don't know, but see, this is why I hate the news, right? Because they don't really give us the whole story or the whole truth, or they kind of twist it a little bit, so we don't really understand or know. Is it being taught just at a college level, or are they trying to teach these things in elementary school? Because for me, it does seem like this is something that should be taught at a college level.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now in elementary school,
You don't think high school is equipped, students are equipped to understand?
okay, I think they can to a point, but here's the problem. High school, there's still a lot of division in high school, right? And there's still these different groups. You have the weird kids, the popular kids, the nerdy kids. You have all of those, and then you throw something like this into the mix, and it's going to create even more division, more bullies in a sense. Sometimes it can.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if I think it would depend on the presentation. I really think it would depend on the presentation, how it's brought. I think some of these things could definitely be taught in college or in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them I would be okay with being taught in high school, but I think other things should be left at that college level, and just, give them the opportunity to teach that in college, because in college there's more of that acceptance and diversity in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
high school is still tough for kids. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I don't know.
Already a lot of pressure that they're dealing with.
Yeah, there is. There's still a lot going on. And, like I said, and when you're dealing with elementary age children, especially even in middle school, their minds are still so malleable and naive. And then, by the time you hit high school, you have a little bit more understanding of things, but you're still growing. So I think it just has to be about how it's presented
Mm-hmm.
and how it's taught, where
Good.
they can leave, where there's still that room for more knowledge to be fed in.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Good deal. Just listening. I'll go to go Stanley. He said he can't talk right now. We're actually talking about the situation going on in Florida. We're talking about the situation that's going on in Florida and how the governor has elected not to teach certain topics of African origin, if you will. Toy, you want to tell you back with us? Toy, you there? Okay, Mr. Hicks, talk to me.
I've said everything I could say. I can't think else to say. I really can't. In terms, I think someone mentioned about reading and history in the books, and she's correct. How I pretty much those things when I look at autobiographies of people, historical points of view. I read about them from different authors, different people that covered their life. And it's always confusing because they all see different things, but that's sort of like the human perspective. We can all be at an event. I see it different than you. I process it different. So I think for me, when I did studies on Edgar Casey, a psychic from here in Alabama, he's got a library in Montgomery. I spent a lot of time there, and it's on the spiritual level. And I guess it forced me to see that you got to have I guess when you go outside of yourself to find a verification of truth, you're going to always be confused. But when you learn to go inside, my experience with the ashram and doing meditation and really focus on those things, in which I begin to teach my children, those who are willing to discipline their body to be under control of their mind rather than following their body. I think that that you have to go inside in critical thinking and ask on the source that's there, that's deposited in you, to us. We all have that inside. We go find that spot. And it makes you know for surety inside yourself the truth of this situation, because there's a different truth for each situation. And once you know that truth, it sets you free. And that freedom is from the confusion and from the frustration that it brings into you. Yes.
Let me ask, and I love what you're going, but let me ask you this question. If we're talking about, and this is not specifically what we're talking about, but we did have a part of this was a part of the conversation, critical race theory. How important is that first part critical in critical race theory?
I mean, a critical period. For instance, if you Dale Carnegie wrote this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and he talks about a psychological approach to criticism. I think that it's like Z said, it depends on the delivery, because if a person is looking at this history and he's full of anger and resentment because of the history, and I've been there. I think I told my story. I watched that Roots series, and I heard the histories getting at me, and it made me angry. It made me reactionary. I wanted to react to it. But it's even when we start talking about slavery, we just got one perspective on slavery, our particular slavery. What about the 8,000 Chinese died in California doing a petition to get some rights done? They killed all them people. What about the Irish who came here as slaves? And in fact, the very first slaves who came here were white slaves. Under the same condition as chattel slavery. I think that the people that have a direction they want to send people emotionally, they present history in a way that produces that. When you go back to the Roots story, the guy who wrote that book was Navy intelligence. It was full of lies, and it caused a whole lot of confusion, caused a whole lot of distortion about the true act of slavery. How many black folks, quote, what you call black folks, held slaves, and how was their treatment not different than the other people? It was an economic system that flowed through the world. Britain was the first person in all those 1,000 years of slavery that put it in the books to abolish it. That's laws. Just like we got the right in 1965 to vote, but that's just laws. Laws don't change people. You find a way. They're temporal laws. They're a way around it. You got money. You got influence. You know somebody. That's a system that operates for everybody. Everybody have these built-in priorities, preference.
Good deal.
People that are over men that are over 6 foot, 6'3", more attractive than women. Women who are a certain kind of way attractive. I mean, these are certain biological things that go on. But so we all have different privileges. You have privileges. You're born to a family that are educated. You have 2 educated parents. You're more privileged than the person that didn't have that. I'm not gonna preach. I'm out of here.
Hold on, we got a lot going on. Let me go to Goddess, and we actually gonna change topic we got a few more minutes. I want to change topic. I want to ask y'all a different question on a totally different scale. Goddess, what's on your heart, sis?
I was just trying to see what's the new topic. I'll talk on that. Everybody said everything on this.
Okay. Anybody else have anything you want to say on this before we move on?
I have one more thing to say. I got a question for everyone.
Uh-oh.
Because you kind of, I feel bamboozled. You were talking about culture today, and I was like, oh yeah, I got some stuff. I was so excited. And then you turned it around on me and now it's this. But I got a question. How many of you know where your days of the week come from?
Oh yeah, I do.
Where do they come from?
They're lunar. They're lunar. They're based off of gods from the Greeks and named for these days.
I misunderstood the question. Okay, I know what you. Okay, I do know that part. Go ahead. I
It
misunderstood the
also
question.
comes from the Norse.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Most of them come from the Norse. The only day of the week that does not is Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That's Sabbath.
So
Yeah.
Monday is Moon Day. Tuesday
Moon
is
Day.
Tears Day.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday, I can't remember what Wednesday is. Hold on. Oh, it's Woden's Day or Odin. Thursday is
Odin.
Thor's Day, and Friday is Frigg's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And Saturday was left as the Romans. But see, that's something a lot of people don't understand, is that our culture is integrated with other cultures, right? And we need to, just going back to this, like, we need to be respectful of all of those different things that make up what America is, because America is a beautiful place with this beautiful melting pot of all of these beautiful different cultures, and we don't recognize all of them.
See, and I feel so bad with this next topic, because you just said America is so great, it's so beautiful, have all these different things, and
I got a question. So you said it came from the north?
From the Vikings, the Norsemen.
Northmen.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And you don't painted this beautiful picture of America, and I'm coming back with this right here, and I'm coming back with a question. Rico, I'm starting off with you, brother. How cruel is America?
So you forgot about me now? Okay.
No, I didn't forget. It was only you said you ain't want to talk, but you spoke for everybody. You say ain't nobody else got nothing to say on this topic, and then somebody came and said something, and so I'm continuing the process. I didn't forget about you, sister.
Okay, I said I was gonna talk on the next topic.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Rico.
Yeah, I mean, well, first, I mean, you know, if we could sort of drop back to that last one a little bit, I still just want to get people to understand that you are depending on a people that created a system and wants to deny that that system exists to teach how that system impacts society. What's the logic in that? What is the logic in expecting these people and asking them to allow what benefited them and what they created to be broken down, dissected, and identified? What kind of sense that make?
Exactly.
So now you said the question is America cruel?
How cruel is America?
How cruel is America? Well, man, I can say that it has its cruel ways. You know, it's very
Rico, let me step in 1 second. Somebody gonna say this. Somebody gonna say, well, America ain't cruel. The people in America are cruel. Well, and somebody gonna say, so I want to say we understand that part. We do understand that part, but at the same time, we talking about America and its people. Just to clarify that, so we don't have to go down that road.
Yeah, I say it has a lot of cruel ways, man. I mean, because many people find pleasure, joy, and entertainment out of pain of others. You know, some people get entertained by watching people struggle and they watching people have drama and conflict. You know, America is so cruel that we'll say that a country has weapons of mass destruction and then find out that they don't and not prosecute the people that went and started this war that killed not only our soldiers, but killed a lot of innocent people over there in Iraq. Threw a country in disarray, threw Libya in disarray. We've had a hand in the killing of Patrice Lumumba. We've had a killing, a pan in the overthrowing of rulers in Haiti. All this interference, very cruel. But then you come back and the same people that commit the same atrocities in America walk around and live free. You know, Henry Kissinger is responsible for close to 3 million lives. That old dog still living, advising presidents. He's been advising presidents and living exclusive and with prestige and dignity and untouched, with all type of immunity. no prosecution. Man, Dick Cheney and George Bush, man. I mean, you see what they did to Saddam Hussein and his sons? Killed them like dogs in the middle of the street, man. See what they did to Libya? Do y'all really know about Patrice Lumumba? I mean, man, this place right here, man, you know, they wanted to win the race to space, but they also won the war to blowing us to smithereens if they chose to. Let's create a bomb. Let's take Nazis and prosecute some of them and kill them, incarcerate them, but then let's take the other ones that make these weapons and actually are behind the scenes, the key to this, and let's make them successful and put them to work for us.
Wow.
What did Oppenheimer say? There's a movie coming out called Oppenheimer. I am deaf. Ain't that what he said? I am deaf. Created a bomb. We dropped those bombs on Japan.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine what those people went through over there? So I mean, yeah, man, you know, we ain't gonna even talk about Tulsa. We could go on and on and on, but you know, it's somebody else's turn now. It's somebody else's turn to throw some blows.
Cassandra, is Amara coming to you next? Cassandra, how cruel is America?
Oh, beautiful. You know, we sing the songs, and, you know, as a kid, I sang all these America, all the songs of beauty. And I never quite understood that because I grew up in the South, in South Carolina, where racism was rampant. And people, my grandmother used to tell me, don't look at white people, you know, in the face, or don't say nothing back, because I've always been very outspoken, even as a kid. And she says, somebody's going to kill you because you can't talk. You can't just talk to those. Listen, this country has been so cruel. And even in 1989, the reason I left my hometown in Charleston, South Carolina in 1999 were because of white supremacists in my neighborhood that literally had me held hostage in my own home because I stood up for an interracial couple that moved into our neighborhood. America ain't nothing beautiful about it to me. I'm sorry. I was born here. I didn't ask to be born here. My family members that were brought into on slave ships into Charleston Harbor, and many of them stayed there. It has never been beautiful for me. I'm sorry, you know, and I don't mean to be, you know, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade that thinks America is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's not to me.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow. Zamari, how cruel is America?
Caught me in the middle of trying to put my hair up because it's being unruly today. Look, I understand. If you go into anybody's history, any country's history, there were always injustices against their own people. Always. There's always been war. That's been since the dawn of man, right? So we understand that parts of every country's history is an ugly thing. The way that the country treats its own people is an ugly thing. But overall, what makes America beautiful to me is the freedoms that we are afforded here that other countries do not have. Women can hold jobs. Women can own property. Women can rule the world if they wanted to, right? We've got CEOs. We've got all of these women in these high-powered positions. Other countries, a lot of the time, do not allow their women to do that. They are still seen as property of a man. You can decide in this country whether or not you want to vaccinate your child or not. You can decide what kind of care you want, whether you want holistic care or you want care using drugs. There are choices in this country that we have that other people do not have in other countries, that they will be taken out in the street and killed for if they speak against their dictators or their presidents. Here we have the right to speak our minds.
But is there also a cruel side of America?
Of course there is. But again, like I said, that's in every country. So we have to look. For me, I choose to look at why this country is beautiful. What makes this country beautiful? The fact that you and I and all of us on here can be on here together, and we don't have to worry about what's going to happen to me for talking to you because you look different, and vice versa. Back in the 60s, if they would have had technology like this back then, this wouldn't have even happened. And if it did, if we dared to, they would have been raiding homes.
But I don't want to interrupt you, Zamari, because that's true, everything that you're saying. But see, now he could have really asked a different question and said, well, you know what makes America so great or beautiful? And your answer would have been perfect. But see, the way you answered it ignores the fact that it is some issues over here. Family courts. I mean, the things that we bring up addresses the question that he asked. It's not like we don't understand that America has these great things too. That's why it took me a second to think about it, because I had to go and dig a little bit before I started my role, because I thought about before the good things about it. But being that he asked the question about how cruel it is, I had to identify those cruel things in America and not in other countries. I couldn't identify the beautiful thing because I got answers for the beautiful things too.
I got you, Rico. Okay, yeah, but I mean, see, I don't know. I don't look at the cruel stuff. I mean, I know it exists, right? But there's so many more things about this that are beautiful.
People know that it exists, but they don't want to address it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got you, Rico. I got you.
Cassandra?
Yeah. You know, I'm in Zamar. I understand, and it's good that you think that way. But when he said cruel, he said is it a cruel?
How cruel is America?
What is the cruel about the cruelty? How cruel is it? That's where we're coming. Well, let me just talk for me. That's where I was coming from. You know, I understand when people, especially people, if you could just exchange places with a Black person for a day or two, you see how different it is than it is for me. I'm sorry. There is no you. I get it. You can have sympathies toward what we go through, but unless a person is Black and has walked in my shoe and know what that's like and what racism looks like for me, I'm sorry. It's cruel.
And see, the thing
it'll
about
remain cruel until the changes come.
And see, the thing about it, I know the story because you shared the story about why you left Charleston and how they came to with guns and stuff like that and all different things. You know, that's cruel because you wanted to stick up to somebody, and that's a real cruel thing to do, and to have you where you have to leave your home state, and go somewhere else because of the fact that you try to look out for another individual. You know, that's rough. That's rough. Let me go to who we got? Goddess. Goddess, what's on your heart, sis? Goddess, you there?
I'm right here, Raheem.
Okay,
talk on the mute button.
There you go. Talk to me.
I believe that America is so cruel and it's getting crueler to the point that they've placed as a whole, and it's, you know, not just at Blacks, not just at humanity, period, that they gave us vaccinations that are actually not good for our bodies. The Food and Drug Administration has put in poison in our food, and it's time again. The fact that they continue to allow, we had other means of getting things like transportation with hydrated water instead of using gas, and we continue to deal with a pipeline that has poisoned our water. That's cruel. But if you go into, and I'm just not even going to take it from a Black perspective, but even if I do take it there, that we are still 1/4 human in the Constitution, that's cruel. And we didn't had a Black president, and he never changed that, but he was able to get the LGBTQZ rights, and not us have our rights of not being hung, and we still have sundown towns. There's a town that's in Georgia that's still walking around with all kind of stuff. Our kids are still being placed in actual, I call it Nazi camps in my personal point of view, but child protective services that end up being missing, or allowing other races, not saying that they shouldn't, if they're doing it in love, that's cool. But if they're doing it to adopt our kids and treat them as slaves, that's what Black men need to wake up to, because that's what's going on. They reenacting the antebellum. That movie ain't just wasn't made just to be made. They have places here that are reenacting the antebellum. People are getting mad because don't nobody want to say the national whatever, when you say over the patriot, where you say the national anthem,
Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, because they had those two lines that come in there is about us killing us.
Oh, the national anthem. Wow. We got a few more minutes before we get out of here. I'm going to touch a few people. Let me see who I got next. So Leonard, Toussaint, coming to you next. Leonard, how cruel is America?
America's no crueler than anybody else, really. You know, it's wherever cruel people are, they're doing cruel stuff, I guarantee you. So we know what America is responsible for. But to say that they're any crueler than anybody else, I think it's a bit far-fetched.
Okay. Toussaint?
Well, we got police departments that are supported by lawyers and judges that have people that commit the same crime, and there are those that get a greater sentence, and the other ones get probation. We see it. We videotape people being brutalized, and people stand around with their cameras just watching, and nobody stops it. And then when the crime is committed, those that commit the crime get leave with pay, and nobody says nothing. We really cruel. We got religious groups that are cults, professional cults.
Wow.
That thrive off poor people and hurting people, and suffering people. And we clap and say hallelujah all the way as they drive their fancy cars, and you go right back home to the project.
Wow.
Oh, we cool. We really, I don't know, but this we celebrate this dream of make America great, but we watch people just storm the Capitol,
Wow.
And we call them patriots.
Okay.
And then we say, shut up. So you don't, man, come on.
Stay right there, brother. Stay right there. Let me go to Badger. How cruel is America?
Unfortunately, there are evil people all over this world.
Okay.
As far as if you're wanting to do specifically America itself.
Yeah, let's talk about America.
I mean, there's a saying that floats around in social media that says you can trust the government, just ask a native. I mean, in a nutshell, that kind of sums it up. I mean, it's people in power that will do whatever it takes to stay in power. You've got people that are corrupt themselves that are up there showing the corruption and even admitting that they're doing it. Put it out in the public.
Wow.
That's showing us how corrupt our system is. And it's quite interesting how many people I have come across that will see that hill of information and facts and things like that of what's going on and go, I don't want to climb that hill. I'm going to look through life with rose-colored glasses.
Wow.
My stepmom's one of them. Me and her get into a lot of intense topics.
Good deal. Good deal.
So to me, it's weighing. We can have a positive idea and do our best to live in a positive manner. But to me, and it's just like I teach my kids, is working on your emotions when you're learning history, when you're learning the way things are, when you're learning how people treat one another, is one of the most important skills to learn. Because unfortunately, in our society, there's a lot of selfishness that is focused on.
Good deal.
And
Good deal.
greed. Bad greed.
Willow!
Good morning, Raheem. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning glow. It's still a good morning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Asking a question, and I want to hear your whole heart on this, Willow. How cruel, listen to the question now. How cruel is America?
How cruel is America? Well, if I had to sit down and take a piece of paper and write the pros and cons, I believe that the cons will probably take the bad things about what America provides for us because of the people that we live among. But I said to myself, well, America can't be too bad. I'm still here. I got that opportunity to move to other countries if that's what I wanted to do. But obviously, America provides a lot of things better here than it do in other countries because they're fighting to crawl over walls and go into fences to get inside America. So yeah, America must provide more than what other countries provide for us. Even though I haven't been in a lot of other places.
Let me ask you a question.
Is there a lot of injustice here in America? Certainly it is.
Hey, Willow, let me ask you a question.
Over the world.
Well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a situation or seen a situation where you could go visit somebody in the house and you're like, oh man, this is so nice, man. This is nice. This is beautiful. I would love to live here. I would love to live here. And you say that a couple of times, you visit them a couple of times, but then one time you go there and the person that actually lives in that house and knows everything that goes on in that house be like, nah, you don't want to live here because of blah, 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 blah. And they start telling you different things. And you're like, wow, I didn't even know that, man, they doing that in your house. Man, I thought this was a beautiful, man, I thought this was, man, I thought y'all had an amazing existence. But when you pull the layers back, the people that actually see a lot, and I say that because a lot of time people want to come to America because they see what America put out there for the rest of the world to see. America paint a beautiful picture of what they want the rest of the world to see. But when you live here and you've lived here and you've experienced the stuff that goes on here, man, maybe you might not want to come here and live here, man. Maybe you might want to stay where you at, because the picture, how they say that the music don't fit the song, or however they said, some old.
Yeah, it's not always the way it
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny you said that, Raheem, because I got a friend that she lives in. Actually, she used to live in England, London, England. And now she moved to Africa because they had painted this picture how wonderful Africa it was to live amongst your culture. But when she moved over there, she found out that it wasn't as beautiful as they had painted it. So she hates that she moved to Africa. She wants to go back to where she came from, which is England, and living in England. So yeah, Raheem. Yeah, I mean, we could probably go a lot of places that might even paint that kind of picture. But the thing is, where can you go? And it is perfect. Where can you go? And it is the way that makes you comfortable the way it is. Because when you got people in control, Raheem, then we'll never know what we'll get. Because we're not perfect. We're not perfect. We make bad choices in life. And sometimes the bad choices affect all of us. Sometimes it doesn't. But that's what I'm saying when I say that about America. Certainly, like right now, that's why I didn't get on to just now. I'm here at 26 of California, and I'm going into this courtroom for my nephew because of a choice that he made. He made that choice. But am I going to support him and let him know that because you made a bad choice, that it's over with for you? No, we're not going to do that one. We ain't gonna, but I ain't enabling you either. So it's the choices that we make in life, Raheem, that affect those that are around us and far from us. Well, we could be selfish about it, living our own little bunk if we want to, but that's not how it's supposed to be.
Exactly. That's good.
So yes, Raheem, that's what's on my heart.
Yeah, there you go. Now I know you're finished. When you say that, I know you're finished. Mr. Hicks, talk. How cruel is America? Mr. Hicks? What Mr. Hicks doing over there? Mr. Hicks, what you doing over there, Wayne? You all right?
Trying to get my speaker was fighting.
How cool?
Here's my end off for the day. I'm gonna be honest. I'll be perfect. That's a question I normally wouldn't entertain, honestly. It's like this. There's a verse that said mental health, right? Think on these things. It talks about a list of things to put your mind on. Because the signs of it, whatever you focus on, don't get smaller, it gets bigger. So after this, I spent a bunch of time going in my soul to get back and find some peace. Because I focus on what's that. I mean, why? What the hell? It don't make me feel good. I mean, I try to, in my personal life, I try to put my mind on make me feel good. Because when I feel good, more things enter my experience. I focus on the atrocities. I focus on the lynch, 100 years of lynch, and I focus on the suffering and it madness. That's me personally. I mean, question answer. That question is going to get a certain kind of response, and everybody going to walk away feeling a little bit heavier than they could have. Thinking about so cruel about America, because there's cruelty. We got the largest population of people in the prison. We got a prison in the pipeline. We got a school. We got a system that's taking kids and shaping them the way they want to shape them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
I mean, so when I come home, the ones that went down had another class because they always went. They always identified in a society that didn't accept them at that point. Back there, my kids had. Why'd you name me? I mean, why'd you name me? Because I stand out. Their name is John and Sally.
Mm-hmm.
But I had inside yourself. You don't let anybody outside yourself name you, and you can't be concerned about what people think.
Exactly.
You got to get strong as yourself. You got to stand on your truth. So, what's ugly? What's hard? Unspeakable. One day, come on in and ask, have a start. What's great about this country compared to other ones? What's great? What is it? You can jump up and do something. Go and you can find somebody who's did it and show you exactly how to do it. You don't have that in a lot of countries. They're not banging on this morning. What I'm saying, but it's coming. Bang on presidents' doors about what they're doing. They get it. They get it in front of. One of these kids that respect the law. Shoot, ain't nobody. Nobody. I mean, look all that shit. Leave, man. Secret Service, secret. Yeah, he did this. He said that. He said this. All of one's get at one side of the coin and ignore the others as your side. It's like
good deal.
Win by any. That's the horror, man. Everybody want to win. I want to be right. Just win. Peace.
Good deal. Good deal. Rico, you got something on your heart, brother?
Really, man, you really hit it perfectly with that analogy. I mean, but the more I listen, the more I realize why we are asking them to allow critical race theory to be taught, and we ain't doing it ourselves. Because it's an ugly story, and nobody likes to face the reality of what's ugly. So it's hard for them to address that situation. So I imagine if a person from another country said, well, you know what? You used to ask this question about if an alien came and asked about this Jesus or God guy. I said, well, what if a person from another country said, well, hey, man, I'm thinking about coming to America. And I see all these great things about it, man. And it look like it's just the land of the American dream, man. And what's cruel about it? And we say, well, everybody got some cruelty. But I don't prepare them for what to really expect. Like you said, when they enter that house, then they find out, wait a minute, you didn't tell me about that part. Oh, yeah, I left that part out. I was too busy telling you about what was good about it. But dang, you did ask me why it was so cruel. Imagine having your children and you don't tell them nothing about the good old things of America. You're going to tell them, go to school, get your education, and believe that Columbus discovered America and JFK got shot by one bullet, and just believe all the good stuff because that bad stuff, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to address it. So now your children going to come into this world not ready, not prepared for the cruel side of things to expect. They ain't going to know that they might need to watch out for somebody that's stalking and want to put them in a human trafficking. They might not know these things exist in this country, in this environment, in this community that they live in. And we ain't talking about Japan and China, because this is a whole lot of things going on in China that our children don't have to worry about. But it's a whole lot of things over here that children in China don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
A whole lot of things go on over here with children that children in Japan don't have to worry about. So, but see, when you talk about what's going on in America, your children or whoever is coming into this situation, they want to know the cons too.
Yep, exactly.
Because they need to be prepared.
Curtis Blow said it best. He told you the story of his life. That's the breaks. But he forgot the part about his wife. He just tell you all the good things, but it won't tell you. He told you about his car, but he forgot to tell you it was 10 years old. Those the breaks. Those are the breaks. These are the breaks. Break it up, break it up, break it up, break down. Y'all don't know nothing about Curtis Blow, man. That's before y'all time. Boy, look here, I hit something with that one. But listen, got one more thing I want to do before we get out of here. We got Rico, Zamari, Badger, Toussaint, Leonard just left, Cassandra, Goddess, and Willow. Leonard just left. I don't know if he's gonna call back in. What would you do if? We ain't did this in a minute, so it's time for us to do it. What would you do if? Zamari, I know it's the first time you're doing that. You get to pick somebody. You get to pick somebody on the panel and ask them a question. what, and when they do, when you select your person, I have to ask them before you ask the question. I say, Zamari, I want to ask you, or what would you do if? Can she ask you? And then they say yes or no. They say yes. You ask them any question you want to ask them. What would you do if? And you create a scenario. Yeah. Let me see. Cassandra. Cassandra.
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you what would you do if?
I guess.
Okay. What would you do if Tyler Perry came to you and say, I'm going to make you the lead in my next feature film? It's going to take us 6 months to shoot this film. You say, you're excited because, you know, and it pays very well. It pays very well. And it's a great opportunity. But it's during the same time that your project, Moores Ford Bridge, is to be highlighted in California. What do you do?
I'm always doing mine. I'm not. I really respect Tyler Perry. I've worked on all of his shows and movies, but no, I'm gonna do what my vision is. I don't. He's good. You know, he'll have plenty of people to get, but I want to do my own. I would work on Moores Ford Bridge, my project.
Now, I did say lead. Now,
I don't care.
Okay.
I work on my project.
I got you. Now, Cassandra, you have Rico, Zamari, Badger, Toussaint, Goddess, and Willow. I said Willis, Lord Jesus. Willow. Who you want to ask?
Help him, Lord.
Zamari. Cassandra want to ask you, or what would you do if? Can she ask you?
Of course. I don't know how I feel about this. Go.
Cassandra?
Zamaria, what would you do if one of your children came home and said that a teacher made negative remarks about your tattoos? Because you said you have a lot of tattoos.
My husband and I both have. My husband actually has way more tattoos than I do. Mine are just, well, his are visible too, but mine are on my hands, and I have a large one on my back. What would I do? Well, see, I let a lot of things roll off my back, though, right? So I would ask them, okay, well, what exactly did they say? And then we would go from there. You know, what type of remark are they saying? If they have and my thing is anytime my kids always come to me with something like that, I always say, well, if they have a problem with it, they need to talk to me about it. And I would reach out and I would talk to the teacher and address it. And so, well, why are you talking about this to my children? If you have a problem with it, you need to be coming directly to me and not putting that on my kids. This is normal for my kids. They know we have these things. So yes, it would irritate me, but I would try to take it from this angle of resolution, right? What right do you have going to my child and talking about this and making remarks about my tattoos?
Good deal.
That's what I would do.
Zamari, you have Rico, Badger, Toussaint, Goddess, or Willa. Which one you want to ask something of?
Ooh.
And the reason why we every time somebody's asked, we eliminate because we want to make sure everybody's asked the question. So when somebody asks a question, we eliminate that person off. Because right now, can't nobody ask you another question because you've already been asked one. But go ahead. Who you want to select?
I want to do Willa because I don't feel like I hear enough from her, actually.
Willa!
Raheem.
Zamari, I want to ask you, what would you do if? Can she ask you?
Yes, she can.
Okay, Zamari.
What would you do if you had children being raised up in today's society? How would you raise them any different than you raised your own? You have more wisdom now. So let's just say you still have all of that wisdom. What would you do if you had children being raised up in today's society?
If I had children being raised in today's society?
Yeah.
Well, I certainly have children right now that I have 3 biological and 4 by marriage. But I also have 22 grandkids. So what I would do is, and what I try to do is to spend time with them. And then when we spend time, I make them get off their phone so we can build some kind of memories and, kind of let them see that the intimacy of being with their families is important, so that the knowledge that they have about their family can continually go on. So I try to show them family, because I am a coordinator of the family reunion. So I try to just teach them a lot of things, not only if they're my children, but other children, my nieces and my nephews, because I know how today's society is and what they're missing. So I hope I answered your question, Talia.
Would you teach them any different today versus how you brought your children up, though?
Now, tomorrow we say what would you do?
Oh,
we didn't say what would you do if now.
No, that was the original question though. That was the original question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I missed it, but of course I will. But I would have to enhance it so they understand, because they're different now. But the same values are still the same values that got me where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I ain't changing none of that. I might make it better, but no. So I hope I answered your question.
Okay. Willa, you have Rico, Badger, Toussaint, and Goddess. Who you want to ask?
I already know. I want to ask Rico. Rico.
Hold on.
Rico.
Hold on. Rico, Willa want to ask you, what would you do if? Can she ask you?
Of course.
Okay.
Rico.
Yes, ma'am.
Like when you do your running, and along the way while you're running, you found a bag of money that had $100,000 in it. Ain't no name on it. But later on the TV, it was broadcast on the news that somebody lost some money. Would you turn it in?
You know what, man? That's gonna be an easy question, man. I don't run it though. I walk it. I'm gonna clear that up. I walk it. But if I was to find that money and I did see who it belonged to, depending on if I knew who they were, because it could probably be a bad person that I know is low down and dirty. They're a businessman, but I know some low down stuff about them. I'm gonna be like, well, you know what? This was a loss they deserve to take. That was the universe. But if it was a common person, I would give it back to him. And to verify that, I don't know, Hicks on there, he could probably verify. You know what I'm saying? And I normally don't like to toot my own horn, but I mean, it's a situation that happened last week that pretty much verified that that's the way I would do it. And I would do that because I would want somebody to do the same thing for me.
Mm-hmm. And we forgot to put Hicks' name on the list. Yeah, Hicks is there. There you go, right there. Why you didn't say nothing, man? Y'all calling everybody's name, man. You call your name. You ain't even saying nothing. What I'm gonna do with you, Mr. Hicks? Miss Hicks frozen.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm used to it.
No. You don't get used to it here. It ain't gonna happen to you here. No, it ain't gonna happen to you here though. Don't get used to it here. If it happen, you let me know. No. Ain't no used to it here. No, we don't do that. Rico, you got a Badger, Toussaint, Goddess, and Mr. Hicks.
You said Badger. Well, I'm gonna ask Badger something, man. Let me see. And then
Hold on.
Go ahead,
Badger.
go ahead, y'all.
Badger.
Yes. Yep.
Rico want to ask you, what would you do if? Can he ask you?
Of course.
Okay.
Badger, I think you was telling me that you had a situation going on with a 14-year-old, right?
Yeah.
What would you do if that 14-year-old called you right now and said, I want to come live with you for the rest of my life until I get grown?
Oh man, I'd cry. And I do the best I can to make up for things. Because when the situation is outside of your control, it's to have something like that actually happen would be a blessing. Just yeah. Man, you done messed me up.
Hey, Alfred.
Oh man.
Sound like you're about to cry right now.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, sound like my eyes about to sweat a little bit. It's okay. My eyes
There's some
sweat
stuff
sometimes.
going on with that situation right now, actually. So, yeah.
Good deal.
I asked him that because I could relate.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
We
I'm
got
definitely gonna have to hit you up after later after the show if you don't mind.
Yeah, we got Badger, you got Toussaint, you got the Goddess, and Mr. Hicks. Who you want at?
Ooh, you know, I'm gonna pick on Mr. Hicks.
Mr. Hicks?
Yeah, huh?
Yes, you can, Badger.
Okay, Badger want to ask you what would you do? Can he ask you?
Yes, he
Can he
can.
ask you? Okay, Badger.
Yes, he can. That's my buddy.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead, Badger.
With the things that you have learned recently within the concepts of spirituality, trying to figure out how to form the what if. What if you never learned that? Where do you think you would be at today?
Y'all hitting hard today.
There's a song. I'm gonna sing a little bit. I gotta sing this here.
Oh Lord. Oh
I've
Lord.
been dead, buried in my grave. Listen, no doubt. If I was on a decision, if I hadn't, it's like it was including me. If I didn't make a decision to become a human being and to change, be willing to change and humble myself under the power of something I can't see. If I hadn't did that, I know, no doubt. If my mother, an evangelist that prayed every day of my life, that she was my example of righteousness. She wore them long things, had her hair covered up. We didn't play blues in the house. She never heard her say a curse, never heard her smoke a cigarette, never had a think of. If I didn't have that, if I have a praying mother,
come on,
that put something in me, y'all doing this. Imagine that ain't right. I'd be dead.
I love you, brother.
Now I'd be dead. I'd be right. I'd be right now in the box in the ground.
Boy, look at here, boy.
I'm gonna get somebody now. You did who I got to that point at?
Okay. You
Toussaint.
Toussaint. Toussaint, you there?
Yeah,
don't be grunting down. Don't be grunting now. Come on out the corner. Come on out that corner. Mr. Hicks want to ask you, what would you do if? Can he ask you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Hicks.
He braced himself too. This is gonna be good. Toussaint, what would you do if me and you were in the car driving a long trip, right? And my breath stank. How would you?
Where in the world?
Knowing that I'm slightly off balance, right? How would you tell me that my breath stank? Come on, Toussaint.
Now I got flashbacks. I got flashbacks. Because first of all, I would hope you smoke. So that I could wait for the opportunity for you to ask me if you could roll that window down. But either that or I'll start smoking.
Why roll the window down?
You gotta
It's about me.
That joker said, "I'll start smoking."
The other part of that is, I would wait for the opportunity to address that hot breath. Lord have mercy, Mr. Hicks. I got to talk to you about something. There's a conversation that's been going around you that I got to let you know.
Yeah.
What's up? Tell me.
You
They got my defense for you because I know something. What you want to tell me?
Wait a minute. Tucson, what you just say? Your breath what?
I'm trying to like your butthole.
No, that's a whole new meaning of talking out your rear end.
Never again.
You know me and you tight.
We're not friends no more.
But man, we got to talk about this.
Look, man, it smell like your mouth. It smell like your mouth just pooed it. Okay. Tucson, you got a goddess. You got to ask goddess a question.
Yes, indeed.
Goddess. Goddess. He been waiting on this.
I'm right here.
Tucson, I want to ask you, what would you do if? Can he ask you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tucson.
Okay, goddess. Now we know that you're careful about putting things in your body, and there's a load of books and information in the world. What would you do if you needed some information and you tried to find out the truth of the matter? What would you do if you only had the Bible?
Goddess, I think it's your time to start talking.
If it came to, and you said to putting something in my body, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In the Bible, it goes into explicit details of what foods and what to eat and what not to eat. And I would start looking into all the books of the Bible that are not there. I would read all the books of the Bible that were not placed in the Bible, because those are very important and they're for us and about us.
Okay. Good deal. We just lost somebody. Or we just lost Cassandra. Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Because all truths are not there. But everything in there, I believe, is truth. If you understand what I mean.
Things got quiet fast.
Yeah, I don't know if she got disconnected or something. I don't know what happened. Raheem out. We can't hear you, Raheem.
Oh, that's what it. I hit the on mute button. Okay, sorry about that.
I believe the characters are fictional. And there's a lot of ad lib, and depending on which Bible that you're reading, like if you're reading the NIV Bible, and that is also made by Zorn, I cannot enunciate the company. Zorn, they also make the Satanic Bible.
Well, would that question he asked have been based off the fact? I think he said if you only had that one Bible. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if he's saying that you ain't got those other books and you ain't got those other Bibles, he just speaking on if you just had one Bible. You know what I'm saying? What would you do? That's the way I understood it.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted, and because I understand your question. I mean your answer though, because I hear what you're saying. But sometimes that's all we have. You know, and I'm not talking about, and I know this didn't turn out to didn't want it to turn out like this, Raheem. But at the same time, I know there's plenty different versions of the Bible. But I'm talking about them 66 books.
That one Bible, the one book.
That's all.
Yeah.
If that's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
you had,
Mm-hmm.
is the 66 books. How would you go about trying to get information based on what you put in your body?
Well, God has already put into me what I need and what He's placed on earth, that I don't need the Bible. But if I went to the Bible, He also tells you what, it's also in there about what we should eat and what we should not eat and where we should eat. But the fruits and the natural fruits that God has made and the natural veggies that God has made, it's already in our spirit and in our soul what we should and what we should not do and eat. Like, I don't know, when I was growing up, I didn't even like meat because I watched my grandmother kill my favorite chicken. Now, do I eat chicken now? Yeah, because I was kind of forced. Like, you better eat that meat. You know?
You've been eating chicken ever since.
Been eating chicken ever since.
Wow.
But I was crying when I was growing up because I loved animals. And I mean, our cow was like my favorite cow. We used to ride our cow like a horse. Mary. So when I would go down to the country, but that's just how I look at it. And I feel like animals are very important. So I'm in the process of trying to wean myself from different meats and food. Start working on eating foods with not Monsanto in there and stuff. So I will read it from the Bible. It tells you in the Bible distinctly, but we don't pay attention to it.
Okay. Oh, let me do it now. God is you're the last one. So you actually the floor is open. You got Rico's, Zamari, Badger, Toussaint. Leonard's no longer here. Cassandra's no. Cassandra, is she still here? I think she's here. No, Cassandra left. Willa had to leave. She's at the thing. And Mr. Hicks, who you want to ask the question of?
What about you? What about you?
And Raheem.
I'm the question asker. Yes, sir.
No, you too.
Yeah, you can ask me a question. Yeah, yes, you certainly can. You want to ask me one?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let's do this.
What if you found that you can possess the most divine spirits within thyself through chakra, and that praying was unnecessary, that meditation and would you do it?
Through meditation?
Manifestation and meditation is within self, and God is within self.
Mm-hmm.
That you have that divine spiritual power to manifest whatever God has placed in your spirit through basically meditation and touching your chakras.
Okay.
Would you do that?
This answer may surprise you, and I'm gonna answer the question as very transparent as I can. Would I do that? Yes. Would I do that? Yes. And I'm gonna tell you why I say yes, because I know that, and this is not me specific. This is all of us, but God is in all of us, and so everything that we need, He's placed it within us. Prayer, everything like that. I love prayer. I love the power of prayer. I love everything that prayer has and everything that it brings forth for you. But I know that it's a conversation between me and my creator. The way some people say, my God, I know that's what prayer is. It's a conversation that you're having, you and the supreme being. Wow. And so
right. Okay.
if I'm going to have that conversation, I could do that also through meditation. I could sit there and I can meditate. I could meditate and just free myself of all the, and I love to meditate. I love that process because you come out of it with a better appreciation, lack of a better term, a better appreciation. And so yes, so to answer the question, yes. Now do I want to pray? Of course. Do I want to have that conversation? Of course. But I know I could go within myself, and within myself, I could find him in me, and I could still have that connection. I am not, but please understand, I don't want nobody to walk away thinking anything, or taking anything outside of what I'm saying for what I'm saying. I am not in no way at all saying that I am him. I say that he is in me.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Yes, I don't want nobody to say, well, no. I'm not him, but he's in me. And so I can connect with him through me because there's a connection there. A part of. Absolutely, Badger. Absolutely. Well,
Great answer. Great answer.
Good deal. See, you see, I told you I'm gonna be you asked me a question, I'm gonna be as transparent as I can. That's that's just how we gotta do it. I see Zamari, for somebody's got a hand over her mouth. I don't know if she's thinking about something, or I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, I sit like that. It's like, that's just how I sit. But I've been thinking back on what Cassandra asked me, and I could have answered that a little bit better. But it's fine. I'm not going to waste your time trying to go there.
Anybody have anything before we get out of here? Who now? Normally I ask we go ahead of time and let them prepare. But who got the Black History fact for today? Mr. Hicks, what you got for us? Don't shut your screen down when I call your name.
Well, I think it's interesting about Toussaint Louverture and his General Dessalines, the only slave uprising ever in history where the slave overpowered the oppressor and took over the government of that. They're still punished now for it. Toussaint Louverture is a 60-year-old man, drove people around with no teeth. Everybody thought he didn't know anything. But in his spare times, he educated himself by teaching himself to read and read the libraries of his owners. Toussaint Louverture and Dessalines.
Wow, good
and
deal.
I think,
good deal.
I think he said earlier that it was a thing that when we start talking about history, we always start from slavery as if that's when our history began in slavery. But there's a history that's thousands and thousands of years before that. Thousands of years.
Exactly. That's good. Rico, what's going on at 3:00 today, sir?
If you missed today's show and would like to hear or see the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmmediagroup.com.
Good deal. Tucson.
Yes, sir.
I need to appreciate you to stand up, brother. I need you to pray us out.
Lord, help us all. Amen.
Hey, go ahead, man.
Powerful prayer. Go ahead, bro. I'm waiting for this.
All right. Let's pray. God, our Father, we come now and we got to give you glory because you're God and you. Besides you, there is no other. I mean, we really lean and depend on you. You are our hope of glory. So, God, we thank you for just this day, this chance, this opportunity that we come before you present with thanksgiving into your course with praise. We definitely bless your name. We ask for your forgiveness. God, wash us and make us clean like only you can. Every household, every cause, every matter, every situation, every circumstance, all of our heartaches and pain, we place it before you and say, God, have your way in our lives. Bless us as we go through this day, keep us in your care. In the name of Jesus Christ, for this day.
Amen.
Hey,
it's been a great. Anybody got something?
Yeah, I want to throw something out there.
Go ahead. What's up?
You were talking about history. Mesach, I hope I'm not butchering his first name, but Mesach Roberts.
Um, was a phenomenal human being. Served in the House 15th Legislature, 14th and 13th Legislature. So pretty much from 1873 to 1879. And he's from the he's from the counties I'm around in Texas, and he served as a House representative. And his history is, I mean, coming right out of the slavery of East Texas, and ended up making it all the way up to the House.
Wow.
Being a representative.
Wow. Hey, Badger, how close are you to Dallas?
2 hours roughly, depending on what part.
Okay.
So from the outskirts on my side, maybe an hour and 40.
Got you. Okay. All right. Well, we are about to get out of here for today. It's been a great broadcast. It's been a great week. Man. I've been getting all kind of phone calls and stuff like that. People telling me how they really enjoyed this week, what we had, and hopefully they enjoyed all the weeks. But we've been getting a lot of comments on this week right here, man. So that's a good thing, and I'm looking forward to next week. Zamaria.
What?
Look, you got is something on your heart you want to say before you get out of here? What's on your heart you want to say?
No, nothing really. I was just thinking about what Cassandra had asked about my tattoos and what would I do if a teacher had basically badmouthed that to my daughter. And I think originally my first question would be, well, do you even know what they mean? Do you know what they mean? Do you know how important they are to me? Because for me, I don't go and get a tattoo just to get a tattoo. Like the tattoo that I have on my back, it takes up half of my back. It's a rose. It's a rose with thorns and all this, kind of like that. That's my spin on it. That's my style. But the representation of it is because that was my great-grandmother's name. My great-grandmother's name was Rosella Violet. That was her name. So for me, that's my representation of her. That's how to carry her forward with me and with my children, right? The tattoos that I have on my fingers, 6 of them, those are my children's names in runes, in binding runes. That is their initials anyway. The other 4 represent opening of the mind, success, all of those things, right? So it's my first question would be, do you even know what they are?
Yeah.
Don't judge me until you know what they represent for me.
See, and I knew you had something on your heart you wanted to say. I said, we can't let the weekend go by and not let her voice her. I said she got something on her heart she want to say. But listen, we got to get out of here. Miss Diggs, everything good with you?
Yes, sir. I'm good. Great podcast. Great stuff. Yes,
sir. Good deal. Well, it is now 10:31. Y'all owe me some more time. Every day y'all owe me time, man. Every day, man. It's 10:31, man. We done been here 3 hours and 30 minutes.
God, cash out.
Yeah, please cash out. $, put my cash up here. $ DKM Radio. $ DKM Radio. I'm gonna put it up here because somebody might want to send me a little something. Let me see. Where's that? There you go. $ DKM Radio. I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna put it on the screen too. Somebody might want to say, hey, look at here. I ain't gonna ask you for no money, but if you want to send me some, I ain't gonna turn it down either. I'm just saying. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DK Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now 10:31. You're about to exit the Morning Glow, but before you go, I want you to do me 2 favors, if you will. 1, I want you to continue to pray for us because we are certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number 2, why this is real simple, I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. Then we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other. And please, please, please be blessed. Give somebody some love and truth. They appreciate it and you. Have a great weekend. Love you. Can't wait to see you Monday morning.